My stepdaughter passed away 4 weeks ago, and I caught my husband and his ex-wife in our bed.
Worst double whammy ever.
Yeah, truly. This comes from Happy Wright, who says, my stepdaughter, Becca, 14 female, passed away 4 weeks ago. I've been in her life since she was 7 years old, and we were extremely close. My husband, Derek, 40 male, his ex-wife, Sam, 38 female, and I, 35 female, got along very well, and there's never been an issue in the 7 years that I've been with Derek. She has also been kind to me. She didn't even care that Becca called me his mom, too. Right after Becca's passing, she had so much anxiety and depression that she was unable to be by herself. She has no family besides us, so we invited her to stay with us. Sam hardly ever leaves the house. She mostly just sleeps in Becca's room. Also, I need to remind myself, so
Sam is the
Becca is the
ex-wife and Becca is the daughter.
Yes.
So after Becca's passing, they invited Sam, the ex-wife, to stay with them.
Right. Yeah, because this is Sam's daughter.
Yes.
Yeah. Today, I needed to run some errands, so I asked Sam if she'd like to join me to get out of the house a little bit, but she declined and said she'd rather just stay at the house and sleep. I told Derek that I was leaving and that I would be back in 2-ish hours. He works from home. I also told him to check in on Sam every once in a while and maybe try getting her to eat.
Oh, no.
Like truly doing the most to try and care for and help his ex-wife.
Yeah.
You know, like that. OP is a very solid. This is exactly what you should do.
Yeah, OP has done nothing wrong.
Absolutely. If OP is the angel in this, or OP is doing what anyone should do in this scenario, truly.
Agreed.
After stopping at the post office, I realized I forgot my library book that I needed to return, so I went back to my home to get it.
No.
This is literally like my mom. I think my mom has probably done, going to the library and forgetting the library card and having to go back.
I was like, that happened to your mom?
Part specifically. No. Forgetting a library card, okay? Very different. As soon as I walked in the door, I heard moaning coming from mine and Derek's bedroom.
No, they're trauma bonded. The parents, Sam and Derek, are grieving, and so they're trying to grieve together.
Now we got a trauma bond. This is bad.
This is horrible.
I immediately knew what was happening, and my heart completely broke in that moment when she was looking out for her too,
and you betrayed her. This is so sad.
I wasn't completely sure what to do, but I ended up deciding to confront them. So I walked to the bedroom and opened the door and began yelling at them both. Sam started having an anxiety attack and ran to the bathroom while Derek kept apologizing profusely.
Too little too late.
I asked him what the heck was happening, and he told me that he made himself and Sam some lunch and then began talking about Becca and shared some memories. And then Sam ended up kissing him and he didn't pull back, and it ended with them in our bed.
No.
Oh, at least the guest bed. My God.
Come on.
They're begging me to understand that it was grief that caused them to become intimate, and they both made a mistake.
I think that's true, but it doesn't excuse it.
Yeah. 100%. I don't know what to do. I love this man and I love Sam. I'm heartbroken that they did this to me and put me in this position. I feel so stuck.
Dang.
I feel stuck, Sophia.
Well, yeah, I think.
What do we do here?
Can't joke about it.
Can't what?
Can't joke about it. They're part of this. Okay, just give some advice. I don't know.
Yeah, I
think OP should consider ending this relationship.
Yeah.
However, I think there's a world where she doesn't.
Yes. Yeah, it yeah. I don't think if OP wants to leave the relationship, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. My God. It just especially hurts after she was like really there for her. And
trying to be,
Yeah. This sucks. That's kind of low key all you can say.
Yeah, it sucks.
This sucks. But we do have an update. Posted
May 13th?
On May 13th, very recently.
2 days ago.
2 days ago, as of today. Updates. My stepdaughter passed away 4 weeks ago, and I just caught my husband and his ex-wife in our bed. Sorry about the post being removed a couple of days ago. I didn't realize there was an update rule, so here's the update again. What do they do that? I don't know.
I don't understand.
Along with some questions answered, I decided that I am filing for divorce. I can't ever trust him again. It sucks because we had an amazing relationship, I thought. He's always been great, so this was a complete shock to me. Last night, Derek came over to talk. He confessed to a lot. It turns out, Sophia, it wasn't their first time hooking up like most people thought. Which honestly, that didn't even cross my mind.
I didn't even think about that.
Because you could see like, oh, this moment of grief, the tension, the emotions are just like raging so crazy that was the trigger that caused this to happen for the first time. But
now he can't even say that it was grief if this was happening.
True.
Prior.
True.
Previously.
They had been hooking up since 3 months before Becca passed away. I am completely shocked and heartbroken.
Oh my God.
She also reached out last night and thanked me for everything I've done for her and told me that she was sorry. I didn't respond. I blocked her.
Audacity.
I did so much for Sam and considered her a friend, so this hurts a lot. More than I can handle. This is all too much. As hard as this is going to be, I need to leave Derek and cut them both out of my life. I am ready to do so. I am done. Also, some people are saying I deserved this because I should have known better than to let Sam into our home around Derek.
Who's saying that? Who is saying that? Why are you saying that?
What is wrong with you?
That
makes no sense.
One of the worst.
That's so cruel.
One of the worst takes I've ever heard. Like I feel like especially if there's a child involved where you have to co-parent, you should try to have a good relationship with your ex.
Yeah.
For the sake of you both, for the sake of the child, but like first and most importantly,
ridiculous. And
just as a human, you should feel for this person that is going through such a painful, again, we're talking like a pre-cheating and all the stuff here, like, you know, to reach out and see what you can do to help this person who just lost their child that you are also parenting, by the way, that calls you mom. Just one of the worst takes I've ever heard in the history of this show. From the commenters here. My God. But you need to understand that I'm a giving person. I trust people more than I should. I truly thought that Sam was an amazing person. And honestly, that even with all the, the cheating prediction that we now have as a result of this show, I would not expect this to happen.
I truly was like operating on, this was a one-time thing out of grief. Still not excusable.
I know it's unusual to become friends with your husband's ex-wife, but it's just how it went for us, and I shouldn't be blamed for what happened. 100%. 100%. Thank you to everyone who commented nice things and for the kind messages. You've all been helpful during this insanely difficult time. I appreciate it. I'm getting lots of questions about some things, so I figured I'd answer a few of them here. Have I told anyone about what happened besides my mom? Yes. I told a few friends and some family members. Most of them are supportive of my decision and aren't speaking to Derek. Where's Derek staying? Currently, he's staying at a hotel. Our friends refuse to let him stay with them.
Yeah.
That's good. He's lost a lot of people due to his awful decisions.
Makes sense.
Has he tried fighting me on getting a divorce? Yes, he begged me not to file a divorce. But when I told him I needed him to just let me go and that I was too exhausted to fight him on this, he let it be and agreed to get a divorce. Why isn't Derek staying with Sam? He told me he didn't want to continue to hurt me, so he told Sam he was done with her for good.
Whoa. You're just burning all of the bridges you have.
Man, honestly, I'm almost like, we've said on the show before, like, some people cheat and then it's like they don't even go to the other person. It's like, wow, you really just like
cheating.
Like a waste of a cheat. At least then, I mean, she is grieving and maybe you both were meant to be together and you just took this effed route of marrying someone else and like cheating on them to like find this out. And like having to lose your daughter to like come to this point. It's effed, but like at least
it mean something.
Yeah, at least it would have been for something. I don't know. And like good at least in the sense that Sam would have some. I mean, her daughter did just pass. I mean, that is But I'm not saying that to excuse the what she did. I'm just saying like independently of that, My God, what a traumatic thing to go through. And that they have no reason to speak to each other anymore. I mean, you both just lost your kid. I think that's a reason.
You have a reason to speak to each other.
Yeah, they're like two things can be true at once. You can have done something horrendous, but still like, you know, maybe just emotionally support each other.
Yeah.
Through, I don't know, God, this whole
He's
thing.
just making a lot of bad decisions.
Yeah. I have no idea if that'll last and they'll just end up together, but I truly don't care what they do anymore. I just want peace. What was Derek's excuse for cheating? He told me they just accidentally reconnected one night when I was away at my mom's. He was stressed we weren't conceiving and were having miscarriages, so he vented to Sam, and then somehow that led to them hooking up. Disgusting of both of them, I know. Feel free to ask anything else, and I'll try to answer. Thank you, everyone, for your support and advice.
So messed up.
Wow. I mean, just like, and like talk about, I feel like Derek just made the wrong move at
every turn.
Like, it's like, and it's so frustrating to see someone who's like, oh no, like I'll do this for you. And like, you know, so it's like actually, no, you're not, you still support this person, but like,
no, he's just the worst, I think.
Yeah. I think I'm hoping that OP at least is able to, by cutting off the relationship and not having to like try to like do the labor work through it, is able to move on more quickly and spend more time in investing into herself.
Especially because OP's also grieving the loss of a child.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And now having to grieve the loss of a relationship.
Yes. Yeah.
And the loss of a friendship.
And the loss of a friendship. You know, all three of them, Derek, Sam, and OP are all grieving the loss of their child.
Yeah.
But I hate Derek the most.
Derek's suckiest one. Agreed.
But you know what we can all agree upon?
What?
That we want another story.
Okay.
Give it to me. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh. My in-laws are causing drama 2 weeks before my wedding. I can't take it anymore.
Snip, snip.
Divorce. Whoa. This is going to be done in a timeline format because that is the only way I know how to explain the crazy. A little background. My fiance, male 26, and I, female 26, are getting married on June 29th. We met back in high school at 16 years old and have been dating for 7 years. It was basically love at first sight for both of us, but being the awkward individuals we are, it took a while for us to vocalize it.
We love our
cute, awkward dorks.
Yes, our introverted dorks.
No, I'm not introverted.
By the way, this comes from Secret Flamingo 5517 on the r/Okie Storytime subreddit. So we truly complete each other. I am hyper independent and assertive, and he is gentle and nurturing. I wouldn't be who I am without him. He's my best friend. My fiance's mom and stepdad have not liked me from day one, and I have made peace with this. Here's a highlight reel of incidents with these two. Number 1, 3 years into dating, my fiance and I decided to go out of state, and I suggested we get a room so he wasn't driving back in the dark tired. Naturally, Frank calls me an oar, which is funny because my fiance is the only man I've been with. Number 2, 4 years into dating, we go on a romantic Valentine's night getaway, and I get my promise ring. Frank had spent the afternoon telling my fiance that he was going to hell and how his life would be over if I got pregnant. Number 3, 5 years into dating, we move in with each other. Mindy, I guess the mom, tells my mom about how she doesn't like that we're living in sin, and she hopes that no one ends up pregnant. Sunday, June 17th, 12 days before the wedding. While at work today, Sam calls me very upset because his stepdad, Frank, called and informed him that 2 of his siblings, Frank was adopted, so he met these people a year ago, and my fiance has never met them, so and their +1 are coming to the wedding. Now, the final count is done, signs have been printed, the venue has been paid for. When my fiance reminded him that these siblings were not invited as we already hit our limit on guests and everything else, Stan then yelled at my fiance and said that he and his mother, Mindy, will not be attending the wedding. Cue to my fiance calling me. I was at work at the time. I was distressed I could not be with him to comfort him. He told me that his parents were putting the blame on me and they would just pay for the extra seats. I convinced my fiance to put me in the group chat with his parents where I laid down the law. I said that we physically did not have any more seats. And if someone did not receive an invite, they obviously weren't invited. Dunk!
Boom! Alley?
Dunk!
Oop.
If these people show up, they would be removed as we had nowhere to see them. After I put the message in the chat, Mindy called my fiance and she said she refused to answer my message because she knew I would not back off. That's right. Big steppers standing on. Frank and Mindy have not contributed to the wedding at all, except to give me a headache and to give me and my fiance food poisoning from a family friend's business they wanted us to order wedding favors from. My parents are happy to pay for the venue, and I have a limit to keep costs down. We had to sacrifice inviting our friends to invite Frank and Mindy's church friends. The next day, Monday, June 18th, Frank called my venue.
Stop it.
Oh,
Stop, Frank.
That's going to be really bad. So I received a call from the venue saying that a man had called to change the final count. I was in complete and utter shock that Frank would do this. He called last night around 7:30 p.m. to change the final count. He even told the venue that I gave permission for that change.
Stop.
Mindy also called my fiance today, and I sat in on the call. All she did was badmouth me, called me a liar, and blamed me for everything. She told my fiance that I personally cut her invite list and that she had been treated unfairly. She began to demand to know who on her family side was invited. Then the table settings. Oh my God, the table settings. I guess I asked her in the beginning to organize her family's side of the tables. That was over a year ago, and I now have a better grasp on family dynamics. I was bored one day, so I took care of the seating chart. Well, while on the phone, she told my fiance, I assume she put me and Frank in the back because she hates us. That was what finally was the straw that broke my fiance.
Let's go. Finally.
The rest of the night did not go well. My fiance had been controlled by the evil in-laws, Mindy and Frank, his entire life. Any way you look at it, they abused him. My fiance physically could not fight back against his mom. I was very upset that he did not defend me, and I voiced that to him. My fiance just sulked away and curled up in bed.
Red flag?
Oh, man. For the past 5 to 6 hours, I have been holding him while he cries, and we watch Hoarders. That is comical. One thing I told him that he had to do today was stand up to his parents and defend not only me, but himself.
I like this, OP.
It took a few hours to write the paragraph, but he finally felt he was able to voice his upset without resorting back to people pleasing. He was beginning to spiral back into his depression, so I made him do a voicing exercise. I had him repeat, I will not apologize for my feelings, over and over, until he yelled it and started laughing.
Let's go.
I kind of like that. The next day, Tuesday, June 19th. Sam and I were about to go on a movie date. He receives a text from evil father-in-law Frank. By the way, I love how evil father-in-law Frank and evil mother-in-law Mindy have alliteration. Who wants him to come over to talk about what was going on. My fiance asked him what the conversation was going to be about before I snatched the phone away from him. I knew Sam was going to be obsessed on that message, and I was determined to keep evil father-in-law Frank from ruining our movie. He ruined our movie. However, when we got home, there was a message from Frank that says, can't have a conversation with your family anymore. Unbelievably, Sam answered back, saying that he just wanted to keep the conversation productive. I was so overjoyed and proud of him for standing his ground. He even told me that telling off Frank felt pretty good.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Hey, yo.
You got to play I feel like I have to play the 24-hour, dun, like the clock ticking down. You know?
Oh, like on...
till wedding day?
Yeah.
You get it, Riley gets it. I forgot John doesn't watch TV.
I don't watch nothing. How am I supposed to know?
Like the Law and Order.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Dun, dun.
Dunno.
I've been helping with John watching TV. Every time I get a chance, I go to his place and we watch a movie. Let's go. Oh, wow.
Well, it's never too late.
Anyways, Wednesday, June 20th. Hell breaks loose. Here we go, guys. The real story has begun. I was working the night shift today, 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Golly. And I was operating on 4 to 5 hours of sleep due to stress. Sam and I head over to his parents' house at 8 p.m. We sit down on the sofa, and Frank starts the conversation with, here's why we don't like your fiance. For 30 flippin' minutes, I had to sit there and listen to evil father-in-law Frank tear me apart, and how he and evil mother-in-law Mindy don't support me and Sam living together. They are very Catholic. Then Frank goes off saying that they are trying to protect Sam because an unplanned pregnancy would ruin his life. They're only literally about to get married. First off, what's this whole thing about unplanned pregnancy? Get your nose out of there. Who cares? Not your business. Second of all, even if they did, they're literally about to get married. Literally about to get married.
Two conspiracy theories. One, they either had an unplanned pregnancy and that's why they got married. Or two,
Big one.
the church has made them feel like beat in their head about sex before marriage, and they're trying to guilt trip them not to do that, and not to have a kid outside of marriage, so that the kid's not a bastard.
Whoa. Yeah, true. Good point. I'm leaving a lot out because I blocked out Frank's nonsense. I would have lost IQ points listening to him. It was uncomfortable listening to both parents obsess over our spicy sleep life for 30 minutes.
They're jealous.
They're like, hey, Frank, you just ain't got it like that.
We don't have what you do.
Hey, Mindy, sorry your man ain't doing it. I don't know what to say.
Frank ain't cutting it.
Frank ain't cutting it. It's 9 p.m. at this point, and this is where the fun starts. We've only just begun, ladies and gentlemen. Frank brings up the topic we were not supposed to talk about, the extra people he invited. I, again, explained to him it's our wedding. We decided the guest list, and we had already reached a limit. And again, they have contributed no financial stuff. It was OP's parents. And also, he's run up the bill even more by adding the extra seats.
And they're not paying
Without
either.
permission. And yeah, no one's paying. I went on to tell Frank that he was completely out of line calling the venue. Frank immediately began lying, saying he had called to ask questions and that he had a right to call the venue.
Real quick, if you're very traditional, then you should be paying for the wedding because the parents of the bride pay for the wedding. So then in that case you can, but since you're not paying for it, you have no zero right.
Literally, you have negative 10 rights. Remember, they didn't contribute anything to the wedding. After some back and forth, I stood up to leave, telling Frank he could at least apologize to Sam for upsetting him a week before the wedding. Frank flew off the rails. He was in my face screaming at me, calling me Little Miss Perfect and a bunch of other things. Sam was visibly distraught, so I pulled him off the sofa and literally pushed him out of the house. It's pretty sad I had to protect him from his own parents, who didn't seem to care. Before I left, I turned to evil mother-in-law Mindy, and I asked if she knew her husband threatened Sam with them not coming back to the wedding. With a smirk I wanted to smack off her face, she said, "Oh, yeah, I know. I agree with him."
My gosh, dude. These people are the worst.
Ah!
What the heck?
They deserve each other.
This was planned.
My God, yeah. I've never wanted to hurt someone so bad in my life. Sam is Mindy's only child, only son, and she chose her husband. How dare she? Later during my shift, Sam received a message from his mom saying, "We still love you, and we hope to love her too one day."
Oh my freaking gosh. This reminds me so much of my ex's parents. I don't know why.
You even bring up a lot of parents in your life that aren't yours.
Yeah, because people, dude,
How many problems have you had with other significant other parents?
these are the same ones I usually
Oh,
talk
okay,
about.
okay.
Yeah.
I thought there were another pair. I was like, oh my
Riley,
God.
it was reverse Avengers. Riley was a good Thanos. There was a Avengers of evil parents that were trying to come for Riley, but incorrect. Didn't work, you freaking idiots. You can't make this up. Thursday, June 21st.
Not on the day of summer.
The church is involved. Sam receives an email from our church where Frank and Mindy are prominent and active members. Mindy had reached out to the church and asked for a meeting so we could move past the situation. Fat chance. But before I could say anything, Sam told me he had already responded. He had told the church no, and what had happened. He was upfront with Frank's attempt to intimidate me and that he didn't want us to share the same air. I tackled that man into a bear hug. To think that just a few days ago, it took hours to write a paragraph, and now he's shading himself with no hesitation. Just to pause here really quick, I like, and you know, sometimes it's tough because it's like you don't want to be controlling or push someone, you know, it can be kind of a delicate balancing act, but this is kind of a cool example of the partner helping their significant other to stand up for themselves. And like, I love like the positive affirmations of like, my feelings are worth it. My feelings do matter. Like, really cool.
Yeah.
Just had to say that.
Also, a quick note. I dislike these people and how they are as Christians, because as a Christian, if you have a problem with someone, you go to them. If they don't hear you out, the next step is you bring a couple of friends and you go to them and talk to them. And then the third and final step is you bring the church involved. The parents went straight to step 3 and didn't do step 2.
Yeah, after yelling in her face, went
That
straight
is
to the
insane.
church.
That is totally out of line.
I am so proud of his accomplishments, and I know that this breakthrough will only better us in the long run. Saturday, June 23rd. Nothing notable on Friday except some heavy victim blaming from the church. Sam and I were driving from Cleveland to Columbus, which is about a 2-hour drive one way. Sam had surprised me by buying tickets to see Lion King play.
Oh, that's so cute.
Amazing. I have been wanting to see this play since I was 13 years old.
Aww.
We were enjoying our drive when guess who calls? Evil mother-in-law Mindy.
Oh man, you're in the car listening to boo.
Hakuna Matata. I sang a solo of Hakuna Matata in
You did?
middle school, yeah.
That's fire. We're going to have to force you to do that sometime.
Oh, no.
We'll put it on the wheel. So, wouldn't you know, evil mother-in-law Mindy came up with a solution to our problem.
Oh, that's so great.
Just uninvite 2 of our guests a week before the wedding. Great solution. Awesome, right? So great. Yeah, you know those people that you love that you like sent the invitation to pay and be at your wedding? You know, the people that you love so much? Yeah, just kick them to the curb for my random terrible like church.
You know what I would say right then and there?
Talk to me.
Okay, you and Dad. That's 2 guests.
Oh, that's bars. That's bar. I pray that's what happens.
I would love that.
But guys, you are always invited to tap our profile to join our lives every single weekday at 3 p.m. PST. And guess what? We won't try to kick you out.
We won't.
We won't try to replace you. Everyone's welcome.
Everyone is welcome.
Everyone is welcome.
What do we do?
Really quick, before we get into this last part, you giggling at over there.
Riley's cute face.
What are you smirking at over there?
I'm just a boy.
Let's talk about what we do here, right? To your point, do we just straight up be like uninvited to the wedding? Are we there?
I've been there.
Oh, okay. For a second, I thought you were like, oh, I've been in this exact same. I was like,
What?
Yeah.
You've been engaged?
Do we uninvite? Keon says uninvite. What say you?
I've seen this wedding diagram that basically explains who to invite and who not to invite at a wedding.
I like it.
And it breaks it up into friends, family, and then you go down the line. And the first question is, are they immediate family? If it's yes, you go down to the next line. And the second question is, are they going to cause you stress / are you happy to see them at that wedding? Yes or no? If you say no, uninvite them. No matter if they're close or not. This is your day. We need to step away from weddings being it about the audience and being it about the couple.
Talk that talk.
It's expensive. It needs to be in celebration of the couple themselves.
Yes.
Don't stress yourself out inviting these people that are just going to berate you and stuff. Because if you allow them to do it on that day, you're allowing them to do that in your marriage. Hot take. Hot freaking take.
You are absolutely cooking, sir. What is marriage but setting the union for the rest of your life? Therefore, if you allow them on this occasion that is fundamentally changing and uniting these 2 people in their life forever,
Preach.
You're going to let this nonsense be cemented in your life forever. No, this is the time to take a stand. This is the time to say, where else in your life do you have something where it's like, me and my partner want to celebrate our love with the people who celebrate our love with us.
Yes. Yes, because they continue like, maybe we'll love your fiance one day.
Yeah, right? But a week before the wedding? Are you kidding me? So, obviously the answer was, hell no. Hell no. But Sam was the one to speak this time. Put on his big boy pants today.
He did it. Good job, Sam. I love this for Sam. The arc is huge.
He told his mom she was ridiculous and that we were not uninviting someone who wanted to be there for this woman Sam barely knew. Cue the waterworks for mom and my subsequent eye roll. Sam hung up. Yeah, I could have kissed him if we weren't flying down the highway at 70 miles per hour. Do it anyways. Risk it for the biscuit.
High-speed kissing.
High-speed kissing.
The wet toast of a spine is so strong right now. Sam is like just beefed up.
The wet toast went from to
It's sourdough.
and that shiz has aged. We're talking rock bread now. Silver lining is we got Popeyes on our way to Columbus, and the play was just as amazing as I always dreamed it would be. We haven't heard from Mindy or Frank in several days. Sam and I both agreed to go no contact with them rehearsal night, which is Friday. Woo! I wholeheartedly believe this was a last-ditch effort to drive a wedge between us, but Sam and I have grown up with each other. Remember, these are high school sweethearts, ladies and gentlemen, 7 years deep in their relationship.
And the parents.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. They're that terrible. We have experienced each other's highest and lowest moments. And also, real quick, just to comment, if they're doing this with a high school sweetheart, they spent 7 years together, they've grown up together, literally for a parent, the like dream setup scenario of like, wow, look what an amazing partner my person has found. They will never let OP's partner live in peace. Like, this is probably the lightest they would go on a partner. So they would go way harder on someone. It's like, oh, you've only dated for 3 years. Oh my God, you're going to burn in hell. Oh my God. I'm glad to have a partner I can openly communicate with. I can't wait to marry him. Enough said.
That was beautiful.
Go no contact. The arc of Sam, that big old arc,
Round character.
curving, that was huge.
That was so big.
He grew.
If he didn't grow at all, we're glad he's a grower and he showed it.
He showed it, ladies and gentlemen.
If he didn't do that, I would have been so scared for what their marriage was going to be coming up.
Exactly, because you never know what could happen if you don't grow like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. But he did.
My boyfriend's stepmother keeps bad-mouthing me, so I just ignore. Sorry if this turns out longer than intended. Just need to get this off my chest and get some feedback. I, 23 female, met my 21 male BF in November last year, and we started dating right before Christmas. We had just met online on a dating app, and we clicked and hit it off right away and went on our first date after about 3 weeks of talking. Needless to say, we had a great time and have been on multiple dates since. By the way, this comes from Raven Bear 0 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. However, he had come and met pretty much my whole family. To this day, he has not only met 3 of my siblings because of distance. However, when we tried setting up to meet his family, his stepmother wanted absolutely nothing to do with me and started saying things like, "I'm not meeting some random freaking person you met off the interwebs that you barely know. It's been 2 weeks. I don't want anything to do with your little or." Keep in mind, at this point, we have been together for a little over 4 months now, and I had never spoken to her at this point for her to be saying things like that about me. Some time had passed, and it was about a month before we moved in together, and I was on the phone with him as he just left my place and went back to theirs for work the next day, and she chuckled the biggest bee fit about what time he had gotten home. It was 6 p.m. he had got home, and it was a 2-hour drive from where I was, and he got stuck in traffic. He goes to bed at 8 p.m. to get up for work at 2 a.m. So he had plenty of time before then, but that wasn't good enough, and she proceeded to call me a crap girlfriend because I didn't make him leave sooner, fully knowing I was on the phone and actively saying it to me. I'm already extremely insecure about not being good enough for my boyfriend at this point, so it made me feel worse, and I ended up crying over it.
You're good, OP. Dude, this mom.
This mom, dude. Stepmom.
Get to step away. Step away from me. Step away from my boyfriend. Just like turn you from stepmom to run mom. You run away and never return.
Skip to when we are moving in. I was in the car with him going to get some stuff from his dad and stepmother's house. His dad and brother came and talked to me while we put his stuff in the car. His dad then goes inside and tells his stepmother that we are there, and I hear her get snappy with the dad, calling him a effing wienerhead for not telling her sooner when she came out and started talking to my boyfriend. Then, with the fakest smile I've ever seen, introduced herself to me. I kind of just looked at her up and down, said nothing, and turned to my BF and asked what other stuff he needed to grab. She kept trying to talk to me, but after 7 months of her doing nothing but talking bad about me and disrespecting me for no reason, I had wanted nothing to do with her. So I said nothing and kept packing my stuff, as you should.
Yeah, that's very, 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 very dicey territory. I would be terrified.
Yeah. Later, my mom told me I was being rude and an a-hole for that. My mother has never met stepmother before, but seemed to like to take her side all the time. About a month after, boyfriend's brother came to the house to help me with something, and when he left, I told him to say hello to his dad for me. He did, and later I got a text saying that I am a rude, stuck-up B and an a-hole for how I'm treating stepmother. I'm not trying to be an a-hole to her. I just don't want anything to do with her. And I should also note that my boyfriend and stepmother don't have a good relationship either. They both hate each other. So am I the a-hole for ignoring stepmother? And if so, how should I go about the situation? Personally, I just don't want to deal with anything, and I was raised by, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. And I'm sure if I was going to say something, I would be an a-hole at that point. I should also add that through all of this, my boyfriend did stand up for me and told her not to speak about me in the way she was, as she didn't know me, and so she had no right, which made me feel a little bit better. We have an update. What are we doing, John? What the heck? Why are we talking crap?
I hate the stepmom.
Yeah.
The fact that they have a bad relationship already.
I would say go no contact with the mother. The stepmother, the only thing that I am like worried about is like the dad and brother, and making sure that's a good thing. Also, we weren't clear in the story if we got a text from the mother-in-law specifically being called an a-hole, or if it was someone else calling OP the a-hole from, like, was it the brother that texted OP saying that she was a-hole from the stepmom?
Right.
I'm not really sure, or if she got it directly from the
Yeah, but it was
stepmom.
something like, oh, everyone else is thinking like that I overstepped my boundaries.
Yeah, her mom, her
Her
own
own mom.
mother
It's like,
is
bro,
taking sides with the stepmom.
Mom, what is this? Forget this mom to mom bond, you know. How about mother to daughter bond?
Be on my side, please.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
my
no,
gosh.
this is crazy.
You birthed me. Can we not at least vibe?
Come on, yeah. We can't have vibes, Mom.
I birthed you. Now I hate you. You
Golly.
did this
I
to
don't know.
me.
Further.
Screw it. Go no contact. Update. So it's been about 3 months since my post, and some things have happened.
Oh, some things.
Stepmother called boyfriend and asked for us to come over for lunch about 2 weeks after my post. Apparently, his dad was wanting everyone to try to get along, so boyfriend agreed, and I went along too, although I didn't want to. We also brought our puppy along because she's my therapy dog, and I don't like to go anywhere without her. We got there, and then the dad came out and greeted us, which was super nice, and he was happy to see my puppy, and we decided to let her off for a bit and play. It wasn't going too badly, even though the dad and stepmother only really talked to boyfriend and kind of ignored the fact that I was even there, so it was a little uncomfortable. However, it wasn't too bad, as I usually keep to myself anyways. After lunch, stepmother asked me to help clean up, and I agreed, even though I didn't really want to be alone with her, and for good reason. As soon as she shut the door, she kept asking me if boyfriend was doing bad things to me or even being aggressive towards me, because that's just how he is. I was super confused and told her, no, he gets upset even if he steps on my toe, so I don't know why you think that. And she kept trying to get me to say that he's not a good person and that I shouldn't be with someone like that. At this point, I was kind of getting irritated and told her to mind her own business and that everything she's saying is BS. I don't appreciate her trying to put doubt in my mind, and that whatever she's doing to do, she can stop because I'm not buying it. And walked out of the house, and about 10 minutes later, we thanked the dad for lunch and left. What the heck? I think she's just doing anything she can to get them to break up. She's trying to pull the strings behindhand. What?
Conspiracy theory. We have a true blue stepmom here, right? The stepmom gets stuck in a washing machine.
Wait.
Keon, stay with me. Are you with me?
I thought you were cooking, brother.
I am cooking. She gets stuck in a washing machine. She can't get out. And then the boyfriend, unfortunately, helps her out.
Oh, no. Oh, like actually gets her out of the washing machine?
The other kind of helps her out. So she is jealous and wants to ruin their relationship. Why is she going so crazy? Let me ask you that. Why would she be saying all these crazy things about him where Opie's like, why are you saying all this stuff? It's crazy. It's not true at all. Why do you want me to break up so bad?
Because she wants it.
Because she wants it.
She wants it real bad. Jenny Larson on Facebook, conspiracy theory, she was recording and trying to get OP to admit something. On our drive home, I told my boyfriend about what had happened and what she had said. He just kind of laughed and said he heard and thought it was funny that she even tried to do that, and that he was happy and proud that I stood up for him and told her off. But we can tell you a lot of crazy stories every weekday at 3 p.m. PST. Just tap our profile.
Tap it.
Easy as that.
Like, I won't say it.
Say it. I know you want to say it.
Say it. You already got the
Like
suit
the
on.
boyfriend tapped the stepmom. That's all I'm saying. Just read the rest of the story and we'll find out.
We never heard anything about it from them. However, now she's mad because I'm taking my boyfriend away for the whole weekend for his birthday that's coming up. And apparently, I planned this just so she couldn't do something for his birthday. Not that she'd ever done anything for him in the past. I told that weekend that after his birthday, we'd be here and she can do whatever she wants then. It's the only weekend before his birthday that we're going to be gone. And now she's chucking a fit over that, calling me all sorts of names and saying, I just think she's a see you next Tuesday and that she hates him and I shouldn't take him there because he'll hate it.
Yeah, she's like, sharing is not caring.
Jerry's not caring. I love this man. Not really sure what to do in this situation. I still definitely plan on taking him, and she doesn't know what we're doing, only where we're going. I plan on continuing to ignore her, and I've blocked her. However, she keeps calling and messaging my boyfriend about everything off his dad's phone, so he doesn't want to block him. So what should we do? I'm hoping she'll just stop eventually, but I doubt it. Why is the dad not stepping up? Why is the dad not doing anything here?
Very weird that the dad's like,
super duper weird. The dad, the brother, like, why is everyone not like, you're kind of being a raging lunatic? I mean, the dad did marry the stepmom, so that to me says something there. He's like on board with her insanity, or like he's also insane. I think what you said is right. She's like way out of his league. He's got like this trophy wife, whatever. And he like absolutely. So when she's not around, she's like, oh yeah, I like your dog. But then when she's around, I'm sorry, wife. I don't like the dog. I actually hate the dog. The dog's ugly. I hate it. It's so unadorable. Goodbye. Yeah, that's what I think. I still think my conspiracy theory is true, but
We'll see.
my husband's stepmother loves creating drama, so I yelled at her. Ah! Thanks, Riley. My 41 females, husband, 43 female, stepmom, Mimi, and I have a rough relationship. She's the same sort of person who seems to enjoy drama, resorting to creating it when none exists. For the sake of brevity, I'll focus on my details of this single event alone, but I'll do my best to answer any questions in the comments regarding the history and whatnot. By the way, this comes from Hope Vlad at 9891 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So this weekend, my father-in-law is having his retirement party and we were invited. As we live around 5 hours away, the plan for us was to stay in their downstairs, just set up like a separate apartment for the weekend. The initial plan was to pick up the kids, 7 male, 5 female from school, drive down, thus arriving at 9 p.m. The kids' school was canceled, so we changed plans to leave earlier, and my husband called them to let them know. She started screaming at him how his father had a meeting till 8 p.m. and we could not, under any circumstances, arrive before that meeting was over because it would cause too much noise and he had to finish his work on his last day.
What? There's literally a thing called noise canceling on headphones?
So to keep the peace, we left around the same time and still arrived at 9 p.m. When we got there at 9 p.m., an hour after the children's usual bedtime, just to keep the peace, husband went inside with the kids while I started gathering things in the car to carry in. About 10 minutes later, I walk in with my arms loaded with luggage and head downstairs after saying hello to my father-in-law who hasn't gotten up from the sofa, fat butt. My son then hollers, but I want to go downstairs. To which I holler from the stairwell, then come down, thinking nothing of it. I open the door to the downstairs and Mimi is immediately in my face with her finger wagging me because I don't want you downstairs. She pushes me.
With your luggage?
Whoa. I dropped the bag, at which point I was a bit of an a-hole because I raised my voice. Well, fine. Then you figure out what to do with all these bags. And I just stomp off because this grown woman just put her hands on me. But she followed me while slapping at me. It's some sort of slap fight, which I was unaware we were having. Kind of like, yeah. And I just kept backing up. And at this point, I screamed at my husband, we're going to a hotel. You need to back down, get your bags because I'm not speaking to her again. She put her hands on me. If she does it again, I'm not responsible for what happens. So she then proceeds to yell at all people while I walked outside to cool off. I was sitting in the car with my visibly upset children, calming them when my husband comes out and Mimi is following, waving her arms. She then looks at me, points a finger as if I'm a small child and says, get back in that house. Your father-in-law is crying because you're leaving. Look at what you've done. I looked at my husband and I told him, we don't need to listen to this. Let's go. She then got in my face again, refused to take her arm off of the car door. I asked her, what would you do if someone pushed you and screamed in your face? To which she replied, I'd ask them why and stay calm.
Why? Stay calm.
Yeah, right? As she's grabbing her door and yelling in her face.
Oh my gosh.
Literally doing the opposite. At this point, I was very much the a-hole because, again, I replied, well, you better hope I never put my hands on you and prove you wrong, bro. You cannot be coming after Granny like that.
What?
Yeah, we can't be coming after Granny like that. That's too crazy.
Now it's crazy for you, John.
Yeah.
Now it's too crazy?
That's the line that we draw for you.
So that's a line?
Yeah, of course.
We
dude.
found John's line today, ladies and gentlemen.
Come on, man. What are you talking about? It's
What do
crazy.
you mean? You've tried to off so many people today.
For much less.
No.
Yeah, for way too much love.
Dude.
Are you gaslighting me?
Huh? Are you gaslighting me?
I don't even know how to spell it.
That's what I want to know.
Are we having a gaslight off?
Yeah, we're having a gaslight off.
Back to the story.
We left and got a hotel room. While I understand I could have handled many aspects of the situation better, I know that there's a history of abuse in my life, and when she put her hands on me, I snapped. Grown woman should never get in another's face and push her unless she's looking for a fight. She said, Grady, if you want to throw hands, then try.
I want to hear the bell.
Ding! This is how I was raised, and it's hard to break.
Oh my god.
Oh, Opie's had a scrap or two in her life, and she hasn't lost all of them.
She's not.
Dude, Granny wants to fight. Yeah.
Opie's ready to knock Grady's lights out. Other than remaining calm while being physically and verbally assaulted, I don't know what I might have done better. I just keep replaying it and regretting my every move. Today is the retirement party. Oh my God, I totally forgot.
We've been distracted. Yeah.
This is beautiful. Dude, you know what I'm getting right now?
What?
WWE vibes. Smack talking each other, and they're about to fight at the retirement party.
We've got Get Off of Me Grand Granny ready for the grand smackdown of the century. Hiya!
And traumatized OP, ready to beat her down.
Traumatized Tina.
Ready to send her to God.
Finish her.
Yeah, literally, dude. Oh my God.
Wow.
And I'm dreading it. And there's an update.
Do we do a roundhouse kick to the face or just the haymaker right hand?
Also, do we throw our bets in? Do we parlay this, boys? Do we want to make a quick buck off of this right here?
I have OP winning and then parlay with Grandpa saying, "Oh no, she's too old."
Grandpa cries again. That's your parlay.
Just a straight uppercut to Granny. Like, I'm sending you up to heaven.
Also, OP reminds me of my mom because my mom would be doing stuff like this.
Oh my God.
No cap. No cap. And she's strong. She works out all the time.
I believe it, dude. I think it's too far. I think what should happen is I think Opie can say, hey, I shouldn't have threatened you with like anything physical back, but don't push me. Don't get in my face. Don't say anything about my family. Why are you so... how about we ask father-in-law if we can come earlier? Like, I feel like this is not really that big of a deal. Well, let's like, if anything, hey, maybe it is. Let father-in-law tell us. And if you tell us in a calm and reasonable, like, oh, you cannot arrive a minute before RPM or everything will fall and boil into hell and we'll all die. No, we can't do that.
Honestly, I don't think it's too far. Because this person, imagine...
She's Granny.
Not saying, like, if someone's grandma came and pushed me, I'd be like, whoa. But like, if I was like, I'm imagining and embodying this person as my mother that is 5'5". If I was a 5'5" woman and some old lady with her old lady strength is coming and like putting her finger in my mouth, grabbing me while I have suitcases on and I have a kid near me that I could fall on or hurt. Oh, you bet. I'm embodying my mother right now. Oh, you bet. I'm going to be clotheslining her if she touches me again. You bet.
Traumatized. The party begins at 2 p.m. It is now 11:30. I dropped off my husband to spend some time with his father. I told him the kids and I will be back once the others have arrived. I just received a call from husband that said she's ready to talk. I explained to her and she seems to understand. None of this has me hopeful for an apology and I'm wary to go before the party. I told my husband I'd already promised the kids they could play in the pool at the hotel, but I'll see what I can do. But honestly, I don't want to go before others arrive. I like that. I also don't want my husband angry at me for keeping the kids from their grandfather. Man, this sucks.
Yeah, because you got the grandmother like there with this grandfather.
Second update. I avoided her throughout the party, for which my husband informed me I needed to get over it. We've had words. Looks like I'll be continuing with this until he realizes the gravity of it all. We have a final update. Did they scrap?
I need to know right now.
Who won?
Put your final bets in now. This is your last chance, everyone.
I don't think they fought physically. I think they just used their words.
I think they just gave each other side eyes.
Okay picks. Final update. The party is over. The kids and I are at the hotel while my husband spends the last evening with his father. She has obviously given a different version of the story and he was trying to merge versions to find a middle truth. Because what many seem to miss, he did not see what happened. My son only saw because he began to follow me downstairs. I flat out told husband what she was saying was a lie, and my son was present and told him exactly what he saw. My husband seemed a bit floored. He said, well, inform them tomorrow before leaving town that we are not comfortable with her being alone with the kids, and I am not comfortable being around her. However, I will be around her if and only if my husband is present, and that's only because he wants to see his father.
That's a good middle ground, I think.
By the way, if you want to see us, there's no barriers. You just tap our profile every weekday at 3 p.m. PST while we are live, like we are at this very second. There you go. With time and behavior that changes, trust may be built. Deep down, I know that behavior won't change, but I think husband needs time being in the same room with it to understand that. I personally cannot ask him to give up on his father without him reaching the conclusion himself. Resentment builds that way. I've also suggested to him that we begin couples counseling because I think he needs to hear ugly truths, and a mediator/counselor present would help. Thank you for all the advice, kindness, and even slaps of truth I didn't want to hear.
Ooh. Yeah, we all lost money here.
We all lost, but it seems like there's also maybe a problem with the father-in-law too. Obviously not as strong,
Yeah.
But maybe just that he like allows these things to happen, or he's just like, no, like stay. He's just like encouraging everyone to come back together. It's like, hey, us being together is what causes these issues.
Yeah.
And the husband is very resistant to accept that is the vibe.
I have seen relationships where people are stuck in marriages and they're just like, whatever she does, all right. And they're not confrontational and they mind their own business in their own marriage, which is dangerous.
You mind your own business, you lose your mind and your business because you get a divorce.
I like Sydney with kidneys comment. Big surprise. Vegas won again.
That's true. The house always wins.
The house always wins.
My sister is trying to overstep my wedding. She won't acknowledge the boundaries I set.
Steal her husband.
I think my sister is trying to get me to remake her wedding day. I'm struggling on what boundaries I should set and how to set them. Should I actually confront her? Or maybe it's just not really that deep. Sorry, long stories of many events. By the way, this comes from Prejudice Yak 2620 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So I feel like I should start with some backstory as to why I am upset. A couple years ago, my sister got married. She had the dream wedding she wanted. We are very much not the same person. She wanted a somewhat fancy wedding with all her friends and family, and I am happy that is what she did for her day. I showed up for all of her things she asked me to show as her maid of honor. We traveled to some boutiques she wanted to go to, even stayed overnight to go to it. We traveled to some boutiques she wanted to go to, even stayed overnight to go to it. I took vacation days to go to her destination bachelorette party for a full week and a half. Went to the cake tasting because she invited me, planted her a wedding shower, basically just a party for everyone, instead of a bridal shower. She wanted me to give a short speech at the wedding, so I did exactly that. I didn't tell any embarrassing stories about her, just that I am happy for her and her husband and the family they are creating for themselves. Now to where I am starting to feel frustrated. My fiance and I have been together for quite some time, and he finally popped the question. I am a pretty decisive person, coupled with the fact that my fiance and I have been talking about our dream wedding for 3-ish years now. We decided we are going to get married in the next 8 months, so we started booking all of our vendors immediately. Here is where things started to get interesting. All of my friends that are close to me know that I have always wanted a destination wedding. My fiance and I have bonded over our love to travel. So naturally, this is the first thing we booked, a small ceremony with just family at our dream destination. I don't want to say my vows in front of a ton of people, but we did invite our wedding party if they wanted to come use it as a vacation and share that memory with us. I was worried my mom would be upset, so I was afraid to break the news. But when I did, she was supportive. On the other hand, my sister was livid. She flipped out on me. I want to preface this by saying she has a 4-year-old. She texts me horrible things saying I'm selfish and that I just don't want her there. I tried to explain that that's not the case. It's just that this is what my fiance have been talking about for years. She told me that I should wait till her child is older, maybe 5 or 6 years old, so they can fly. I also know that she is trying to have another child at the end of this year, if not sooner. So I said, what if you get pregnant again? I can't put my life on hold for you. After that, she ignored me for a week, full ghost mode. But then she came around suddenly. Now she is all in and excited to go because her mother-in-law is coming to babysit. Yay! It doesn't end here though. After that was settled, my fiance and I started planning our reception for when we come back home. After selecting the reception venue with my parents, I started to reach out to vendors on the list of recommendations. My sister and I talk a lot on the phone, and I found myself having to justify the decisions I was making. For example, she would ask me how planning was going, and I would say, I talked to the florist from the wedding venue recommendations today. Then she would tell me I should use her florist from her wedding.
Shut up. Shut up. She's got like a caterer, florist, venue, everything. She's like, hey, I'm going to give you this person, but you're going to give me a fat like referral fee.
I sense that. that. She didn't just do this for the florist vendor either. She said the same for who I should pick for the hair and makeup, the food, the cake, the music, the photo booth, the photographers, and the most annoying one is that I should push my reception to the following year to have it at the same time of year that she got married many years ago at the venue she used because it was all cheaper. So she then looked into the price itself to confirm it. She literally is trying to get referral fees from all of these people. This is my conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
From everyone. And the reason why she wants her to push it is because they don't have like any availability until that time. So I stopped telling her what I was doing. I just started saying, yep, I'll look into that and get off the phone. The only thing we booked that was the same was the food and the bakery because they were on the list of recommendations and had the menu we wanted. This is important info for later. I told my fiance I was getting frustrated because I feel like my sister thinks I can't plan my own wedding. Also, I felt like she just wanted me to recreate her day. I don't really know if this is an overreaction because she may think she is just trying to be helpful, but really it just pushed me to book things that are different out of spite, just to make sure nothing is like hers. My fiance has been very supportive and a good listener when I need a vent, but this isn't the end of the drama. After all our vendors were locked in, I was thinking, great, that's over. She can't tell me her opinions anymore. Well, boy, was I wrong. It just started to the next thing. In chronological order, the next thing she started to bring up was a speech. There is the story of us growing up. It's not a horrifying story, but it's one that she always spins to make her seem right in the situation. Every time someone asks me in front of her about the wedding planning, she says, I'm going to tell the story at the wedding. If the person asks what the story is, she's eager to throw me right under the bus and tell her version of it. By the time of the wedding, everyone will know it anyway at this point. But when I asked her to please not, she responds with, I have a trapped audience, so I can do what I want. I wish I had more to say about the dress shopping experience. My friends heard more from her than I did, but won't tell me to not upset me. The small things I did have to nip in the butt was that she kept trying to pull dresses that had similar features to her dress.
Dude.
Or that she would pull things so far from my style that at one point I cried and had to have the shop assistant help me pull things instead. To sum this next part is going to sound a bit, I know, so feel free to have an opinion on that. I have 9 people in my party. All I want for my bachelorette party was to go somewhere where we could bar crawl or have a bonfire outside when we would come back from going out during the day. There were a couple of places I gave as suggestions on where to go. She picked the last one on the list of 4 spots, the last resort location. Fine, it was on my list, so I can't be too upset. Now remember, I went on a 1.5-week trip for her. Well, I got 1 weekend, Friday night to Saturday morning, because she didn't have the vacation days no longer. When I asked her if she cared if my other 8 people went maybe 1 extra day or 2 before that, she said she could just come for that weekend. The location was close, about an hour away. She booked the house for just the weekend, and that was that. At the bachelorette party, my sister trying to nag me to an escape room she wanted to do while we were there. Full disclosure, it's not that I hate them. I have done them and find them fun. It's just not something I wanted to do on my sort of weekend. Regardless, anytime she saw one, she would say, we should do it. Or my biggest ick is that we would say was, this weekend isn't about you or anything, so let me do the escape room. By the end of the weekend, I got the vibe she was hoping some people would agree with her and side with her so she could get her way. And to flashback to one of the previous selections of the story, she also told the embarrassing childhood story multiple times that weekend. Some of my friends caught on and started to just walk away from her. This is the last part. For cake testing 2 weekends ago, I invited her to cake testing since she invited me to hers. When looking at designs, my sister started pointing out that hers looked like for the day. When the lady started asking my fiance and I what our wedding colors are, my sister interrupted me to tell the lady, we may not have the same taste in cake, but she did pick the same wedding colors as I did.
Shut up. God,
She's trying to win in every way possible.
literally. I would just tell her to shut up.
Just shut up.
What the heck
Literally
is
shut up.
happening?
I'm actually really tired of this.
Right?
This sister's really annoying. Sister sucks.
Hurrah.
It's not your wedding.
I shook it off and told the lady the colors. Then we moved on to the design questions. Again, my sister told her flower designs she had on her cake as if it was important. At this point, I think the lady was just as annoyed as I was because we looked dead into each other's eyes, and I was just told to the poor woman I just wanted a simple flower design on top of it. That was it. And what's simple to us is that we go live every weekday at 3 p.m. PST. Just do what?
Tap her profile. This sister sucks. I guess that's hard for the wedding venue people. Also, stop taking her to all the things.
Yeah.
Who cares if
She's
if
the
you
maid
went
of
on
honor.
hers? Good, fire her.
This is the most recent thing that has happened. I'm sorry for the longest post ever. I did rant a little, so I'm sorry if it's messy. I have just been sitting on these feelings. Usually every time I try to set a boundary with her or tell her she has upset me, she takes it as an attack. Then it spirals into somehow I am sensitive one and I'm reading into what she says. Because of this, I have been very reluctant to say anything to her. I'm looking for advice into how to handle this situation because so far, Me not giving her any information hasn't worked. And every step of the way, I feel like she has gone to bring up her wedding or just tries to embarrass me. Thank you in advance for all the advice. And that is it.
I have advice.
What's that?
Shut up.
Shut up. Just
my
shut
advice.
up.
That's literally all my advice.
Stop
Literally.
yapping.
That's all I got.
At a certain point, OP is just being an a-hole to themselves by accepting all of this. You're kind
Yeah.
of ruining your own stuff, like your own party, your own planning.
You're bringing her to all of
You're
this.
bringing her to all of these things, and you know she's going to be doing it.
Yeah.
So, like, at a certain point, you can be like, listen, you've overstepped your bounds. Yeah, maybe you invited me. I was just there to be helpful. You're overstepping your bounds and trying to control everything. No, honestly, I would be like, if you literally open your mouth about anything more, I'm going to remove you as maid of honor because this is
Yeah,
stressing me out so much on my wedding day.
And take Ellie's advice.
I don't deserve it.
Yeah.
There
This
we
is
go.
wild.
I'm no contact with my stepmother, but she tried sending my kids gifts behind my back.
The no contact gift that keeps on giving.
Ho, ho, ho. I, 34 female, have no contact with my stepmother, Mary. Long story, not worth explaining. Oh, come on, OP. You got to give us a little bit.
That's the juicy part, it seems like, but okay.
It's been 5 years since I cut her off from my and my family's lives. As such, she has not seen my son, 8 male, since he was 3 years old, and she's never even met my daughter, who is 4 female. By the way, this comes from user SM Gifts Throwaway on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, throughout the years, she has attempted to contact me and my kids several times. My father used to help her sometimes. He'd tell me how awful she felt, how much she wanted to meet my daughter, and that the kids needed their grandma. I've never considered her a grandparent, as both my mother and mother-in-law are active in their lives. Several fights later, my father apologized and stopped assisting her. But Mary still tries to get in touch with me every now and then. I always state I have no interest in seeing her or allowing her to be a part of my children's lives. My son's birthday was in September. Day of, neither of my kids were home. A large box was delivered to our building. I opened it to find more than a dozen new toys for my children, along with a note that read, "Grandma Mary loves you both." As I later found out, she had bought the toys on a recent trip to the United States. I couldn't think of that as anything besides a manipulation tactic. My children are barely aware that she exists. Why would she send them both a box full of toys on my son's birthday? I also think she planned the delivery for a time she thought the kids would be home so that they'd see the toys immediately. Either way, my husband and I decided not to keep any of the toys. We donated them all throughout October. The kids never saw any of them.
How do you feel about that?
I mean, I think, look, if you don't want the stepmom in your family's life, then yeah, she can't be saying Grandma Mary loves you, because it's like, what's the fastest way to get a kid to like you?
Toys.
You buy them cool toys and you say, I'm the one that got it. I mean, come on.
You don't want any trace of Mother Mary in this, stepmom Mary in this.
I still remember exactly which family member got me my foosball table for Christmas.
Okay, yeah, I do remember the big toys I got when I grew up.
Like it's the way it's manipulating. If you're doing it this way,
it's a
you're trying to
tactic.
manipulate the kids to like you so that the
Why
OP
why isn't Grandma Mary
Yeah.
coming around? She got us these cool toys. Okay, I got you.
She's
I got
trying
you.
to force
I got you.
OP's
Okay,
hand.
Cool.
Last week, my father called me. He said Mary had just told him about the toys and wanted to know whether the kids liked them. I told him the truth, and we had an argument. My father called me cruel and ungrateful for what I did. He said he understands Mary and I don't get along, but she still cared enough to spend hundreds of dollars on a loving gesture for my children, and the least I could have done was let them know about it. So real quick pause, not even going to get into this. The so simple, easy solution to this, if that's how she really felt, if she wanted to do this selflessly, just have the dad give them the toys. The dad's not excluded from their lives. You are. I honestly couldn't imagine keeping those toys, but I'd be lying if I said the amount of money spent on them didn't make me feel guilty. Am I the a-hole?
I would have called him. I would have called at least the dad. Been like, hey, we got the toys. We can send them back. That's what they should have done. Instead of like, we can send them back. We didn't want these. We want no contact with you guys, or at least with stepmom Mary. Yeah. I think that should have been like, hey, we appreciate the gesture. That's very kind of you. But again, we don't want you in our child's lives.
Yeah. You could have gone a little, I just think they wanted to stay no contact though. Because that you have to call.
You have to call, but it sounds like the dad called
well, yeah, her OP's dad called and was like, I heard about the toys. I was gonna be like, no, how are you gonna? If you'd thrown the toys out, I'd be like, that was an
No.
a-hole move. But they
get
donated
it-
them
yeah,
throughout
which is
October.
nice.
So those toys went to kids who needed them. And, you know, if anything, Mary should still feel good about that.
Yes.
So I don't think you're an a-hole in this situation whatsoever.
I think it's just a little bit like,
We don't have the context as to why the stepmom is
Yeah,
cut out, so we
I-
can't really speak as to if that's
this is just the
justified.
narrative that we have, and that's what we're going to take.
Yeah. Hey guys, thank you for your input. Many of you stated you wouldn't be able to make any judgment without knowing why I have no contact with Mary.
Thank you.
I think that's completely fair. I explained it better in the comments and I recommend reading them, but Mary was awful to me when I was young. I loathe talking about it, though therapy has been helping with that, but it stemmed from the fact that I wouldn't allow her to be a second mother to me. I went into low contact with her in my early 20s, and she would still treat me like crap whenever I saw her. When my son was born, Mary begged me to give her a second chance. She apologized for upsetting me and promised she had changed. I warned her that if she ever overstepped or even remotely hinted at going back to her old ways, that she'd never see me or my family again. And to be honest, I'm surprised she lasted 3 years. I didn't clarify that in my original post because not only is it something I have trouble talking about, but I also didn't think it was relevant. I was asking about the donations, not whether I was justified in cutting ties with Mary, but I do agree that it's best to have the complete picture before making judgment calls, so I apologize for withholding that. Another thing I didn't mention is that Mary never had children of her own, and my only sister is child-free. My kids are the only grandchildren in the family, which is why I think Mary wants to see them so badly. Anyway, I went through your comments and organized a list of things I wanted to say to my father. I thought about making one for Mary as well, but I doubt she'd actually listen to it. I spoke to my father on Saturday. He said he talked with his wife. Apparently, Mary bought the gifts because it broke her heart to be unable to watch my kids grow up, and she hoped the toys would at least let them know how much she loved them. My father also said that Mary told him about the gifts. He's insistent that he had no idea because it had been a while and me and the kids hadn't thanked her yet. My husband and I have our children say thank you through voice messages whenever they get a gift from someone who isn't nearby. We've done that for my father before, so I think that's what Mary was expecting. I explained that it didn't matter how thoughtful he thought Mary's gesture was. When I cut ties with her, I cut her off completely. That means no gifts, no phone calls, and no contact with my children, directly or not. And to be fair, this is a second chance scenario. She had already done it and said, you're welcome back, but never again. Will you make that same mistake? Clearly she did. And here we are. She can claim to love them all she wants, but she will never have any involvement in their lives. We had another argument, but I put my foot down. I told my father that if he ever attempts to assist her in any way or brings up Grandma Mary to my children, he will never see me again. I'll allow him to be a part of his grandkids' lives, but he needs to accept that his wife won't be. Well, by the way, we always want you to be part of our lives. Every single weekday at 3 p.m. when we go live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and TikTok. Again, at 3 p.m. PST. All you got to do is tap our profile. How do we feel about her threatening to cut off her dad now?
I don't like that. Like,
Yeah, I'm
your
also not
kids should have some grandparents, because I didn't really have my grandparents in my life. I have one grandma and I love her to death, but that's it. I've never met my other grandparents. That's how it is. Or maybe at a very young age where I wasn't really cognizant as like a full human being.
Yeah.
So taking that away from your kids to not have that experience of grandparents, I don't like it. I don't like it. Like, at least I get your connection and ties with Mary, but threatening your dad, saying, you know what, I'll cut you off too, I don't like that. That's not fair to the children. I mean, what I want to see what the husband says.
Yeah.
What does dad say about this?
Yeah. Well, maybe they have some. I mean, they might have more grandparents on their side, on the dad's side.
Maybe.
Potentially.
But here's the thing:
we still don't have the full context of exactly what happened. We have the short rundown.
Here's the thing: I don't know how old are the kids? Do we know?
I think it's like 8 and 4.
Okay, so I knew they were under 10. I just don't remember the exact age. When it comes to like grandparents' day at school, that sucked for me. I felt so bad because I was like, my grandparents can't make it, or I don't have grandparents to make it.
Grandparents' Day? I don't remember ever having.
I had Grandparents Day. I had a
school.
Grandparents Day. It was cool, but not for me.
Yeah,
But I'm just saying, like something like that. When like, kids are saying, grandma and grandpa's cool, and your children are like,
yeah. I think clearly, at the very least, what it illustrates is that OP is deeply affected by what happened between her and her stepmother.
yes,
Threatening that to her dad is kind of just a point of illustrating to him
how serious
she is about it.
Yeah, and like if you didn't get I mean, yeah, like
she wouldn't go through with that.
And guess what?
And
it sucks, but Grandma Mary can live through it vicariously through Grandpa.
You know what?
Grandpa, he's like, we have photos of the kids.
Ultimately, my father agreed, but I intend to watch him closely from now on. I don't want to cut contact with him, but this will be his final chance. If he screws this up, he's done.
I don't like that.
Yeah, it's a little too final. Well, while I'm not 100% confident this will last, I'm still happy with this outcome. I've been going through a fairly stressful time at work, and it feels great to have this weight off my shoulders now. More importantly, I feel like I'm well equipped to deal with whatever comes next. I don't intend to write any further updates. Once again, thank you.
Again,
the end
it's
of that story.
It's OP's choice, OP's life, but again, you can't make your choices ultimately for everyone.
OP is clearly very, very adamant that the presence of Grandma Mary would be a negative force in her children's lives. So she will accept zero tolerance of her own father even mentioning Grandma Mary,
kind of
because
wild.
it's like, we don't want her to weasel her way into our children's lives.
Again,
because of what happened in my childhood.
People can be redeemed, but again, I get it. That's OP's justification, and I'm not gonna be like, OP, change your mind. It's like, okay, I respect it.
She already did give her the second chance.
I know.
That would be, if that didn't happen, I'd be like, I think maybe you could open the door and see, but you already did that. And then
I get it.
Hey,
you know
3 years. She had 3 years, and then she messed it up.
Yeah.
She'll have to live with that.
Yeah. No, that understandable. It's a very stinky situation all in all.
My stepdaughter hates me, and she's doing everything to make me leave.
Fire her from your family.
I don't know if this fits into Am I the A-hole Reddit, but I need advice on what to do. I'm 34 female, and I'm married to 38 male. We've been married for less than a year, and I really love my husband. We are generally happy in our relationship. However, my husband has a 12-year-old daughter who just can't stand me. I don't know how else to explain it, but she wants me to leave, and she's doing everything to make it happen. By the way, this comes from Wildbake2754 on the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, ever since we started dating and I met his daughter, she never liked me. I thought it was, I don't know, maybe because I'm dating her dad and she's sad her parents divorced, but it has gotten worse. Let's find out how. Before we got married and we weren't living together, I wasn't around her really. I mean, I did meet her and occasionally saw her, and she was rude to me every time. Since we moved in together, she's been spending more time at our house than her mom's, and she's been starting to be more rude and straight up evil. She started being more openly rude to me, but not around her dad. She's just rude to me when he's not around. Of course. Classic.
It's, again, you just have to you got to be ready for it.
Exactly. Yeah. She wants to make it seem like I'm being mean to her. Like, for example, I was working on a really important paper for my job, and as I was writing the last bit, I left my laptop on the table and went to the toilet, and when I came back, the whole document was gone.
flush it away.
Yeah.
But
It was deleted from my profile on Microsoft Word and even from my computer memory. Oh my, she went in deep for that.
That's like, it's like the classic case of like, oh, kids know how to like go in and hack
Yeah.
everything. She's like, nah, you can't even recover this. No backup drive, nothing.
Released it from the dark web and everything.
Yeah.
Crazy. Even the recycle bin was empty, which means someone had to completely delete it. Me and her were the only people inside the house, and her dad was outside. I asked her not did she do it, but why did she do it? Because she was the only one in the house, and she started yelling so that her dad would hear her and come back in.
Smart.
This girl is too smart for her own good. She said how I'm always accusing her of something and straight up lied. Her dad actually told her she can't be doing that and went back to her room. I still lost my paper though. That was just one of the numerous things she did. For example, she also locked me out on the balcony. She put my phone in water, but it survived.
Oh.
She hides my stuff like my car keys or things I bring with me when I have to leave the house in a rush just to make me mad. It's absurd, honestly. Most of the things are just plain annoying and not harmful, but the thing that definitely made me decide to leave and divorce from her dad is when she made coffee for him and me, which is not something she really does, at least not for me. But she made me a cup of coffee and I was confused why she was being so nice. Thankfully, I jokingly thought it must be poisoned and stirred the coffee and found a big piece of glass inside. Oh my God, that's crazy.
That is, I mean, throw her in juvie, chat.
Yeah.
Comments. Do we lock her up for this?
That's actually so insane. I thought it was gonna be like laxatives or something.
Yes,
but
I think there's like some level of like, if it's just like, oh, like
Right.
as if like there's some level of attitude
Yeah.
that can be not excused but understood.
Right.
But like, I'm sorry, but like, you remember being like 12?
Yes.
Did you ever put a giant piece of glass in someone's cup?
I don't think I did.
You didn't, right?
No.
So it's like, this is crazy.
Never have I ever even like thought of making someone swallow glass.
Like you gotta have some like built-in evil. You gotta have some built-in evil.
That's like some kind of psychotic gene in there. That's insane.
Wow.
I showed it to my husband and he was absolutely mad and yelled at her, but I don't think that's enough for me to stay. I don't feel safe anymore. Like if I didn't stir that coffee, I would probably end up cutting my throat with glass or swallowing it. It's not just a harmless prank. It was really effed up and serious this time. I already told my husband I can't stay in the same house with her because she obviously wants me gone. I simply don't want to stay, and I know I can't make him like leave his daughter or whatever.
Or can you? Foster care?
Or if she winds up in juvie, like
hey, she's off my hands.
I think this is the only solution because I'm not going to risk her doing something more and actually hurting me this time. I'm sorry I didn't answer to any of the comments. I didn't get any notifications from Reddit, so I thought nobody interacted with my post. Last night, I talked to my husband and I told him that I don't want to live in fear and be worried that she's going to poison me next time. I was really mad and said that she needs to be sent in an asylum and things like that.
I mean, low-key though.
I mean,
low-key.
You're not wrong. We argued, and while he wasn't trying to defend what she's doing, I still think he doesn't see this as something so insane. I told him I want a divorce and that I'm going to leave. We argued a bit more, and today I came back earlier from work and packed some of my things and left. I want to see if he will actually do anything when I actually leave, and if he doesn't, I'm just going to get a divorce, and that's it. And there is an update, but
okay.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, I kind of totally get it. Like, there's angsty teens, and then
Right.
there's like straight up maniacs, like
Yeah.
this little lady over here.
Right.
Yeah, I totally get it because it's like it sucks. You want to stay with her, the person. It's like, hey, you haven't done anything wrong specifically,
Right.
but I can't like live in constant fear of like
Right.
what's gonna happen to me.
Yeah, like I feel like with this kind of behavior from a kid, like just yelling at them is not enough parenting that
No.
you gotta do.
Well, it's like I don't even know what you do.
I don't know either,
Like,
but more than that, I'm sure.
yeah, this is one of those ones where you gotta like really go to like a specialist, like
Yeah.
a like child therapist that specializes in like probably like this type
Right.
of behavior.
Right.
And just like sit down with them and be like, yo, what do I do? Because this kid
Yeah.
is wilding out.
Yeah, that would be good because I mean, if they're doing this as a kid, then it's like they're gonna grow up and do even more insane things.
They haven't reached their Pokemon. They're like level 1.
Right.
They're
right.
like level 1 demon.
Yeah.
And they're gonna evolve.
We don't want them to evolve, not in this way.
No. So yeah, I think she did pretty much everything she could for herself.
She's out of control in this situation.
Yeah.
Or like she doesn't have any control.
Yeah.
But there is an update.
Oh.
Thank you for replying.
You're
I felt
welcome.
like I had to update you on this because so many people replied. Also, I forgot to add that her parents were divorced since she was like 3 or 4 years old, so it's not like she's mad I separated them or something. I'm addressing this because many people were asking in the replies. Another thing I just remembered to add is that she never actually said that she hates me. For example, when she deleted the document on my laptop, her dad asked her, why does she hate me? And why did she do it? And she literally said that she doesn't hate me and how she doesn't have much of a reason to hate me because she kept insisting that she didn't delete it. That just sounds all like lies.
I mean, it's just a classic, like, I don't hate her.
Right. Like, he just asked her if she hates her, and she just said, nuh-uh. And then that was like the end of her argument.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah, that is exactly what happened
That
there.
was all it was. Same thing when she does other things, as I said, like move my stuff so I can't find it. At first, I genuinely thought I was going crazy because, like, why would she insist that she didn't do it? I mean, okay, I feel like that's so easy to lie about that, though. Like, if someone's being accused of something and they don't want to get in trouble, they're just going to say, no, I didn't. I didn't do that.
This is classic. And she is like, this is her tapping into her demon mode even harder because she's
Right.
like, I'm just going to keep telling you I didn't do it to infuriate you even further.
Yeah.
And it's literally OP's like tone. It is working.
Right. I don't know. I'm so behind OP, but also, like, I feel like you shouldn't be surprised that she's saying that she didn't do it, you know?
100%.
I even told her I thought it was funny that she hid it just so she would admit, and she just kept on insisting that she didn't. But when she locked me out on the balcony, I saw her do it, and she did the same thing. She kept denying that she did it, even said that she was watching TV at the time and stuff. She's got alibis and everything.
Yeah. It's just, make her a lawyer, honestly.
Right. I don't know if it's to make it seem like I'm accusing her of doing things or what the heck is her problem. By the way, we would never have a problem if you join us live on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok every weekday at 3 p.m. PST. Just tap our profile.
Oh, do
Tap our profile.
Do it.
There is a little bit more, but I don't even know what else there is to say besides she's an insane child.
Again, like, honestly, while the husband is on OP's side, like, I don't think he did enough.
Yeah.
And I think this is, this is his kid. And I hate saying that because, like, there's some people like, oh, yeah, no, it's your kid. If you're
Right.
married, that's your kid, 1,000%. But
yeah.
this is the child that spawned from him.
Right.
And I think it is on you to, like, really dive in deep and start trying to figure out solutions.
Yeah.
Especially, like, when she was, like, talking about leaving, was he like, all right, like,
Right.
what was his response? Was he just
Right.
like, I get it. Go ahead.
Right.
Like, wouldn't you want to, like, work to get solutions for your daughter's insanity, and then two, try to save your relationship with your wife? This is just me.
Yeah, like I feel like this is the kind of thing where if you like meet a crazy person when they're like an adult, and then you're just like something went wrong in your childhood, like your parents did not discipline you enough or something like that.
Yeah.
Like this is that moment
Grade
to get
A
ahead
example.
of it. You know, like this is
Yeah.
just then the dad's just not doing it. So we'll find some sort of documentary in the future about someone swallowing glass or something, and
It's gonna be this
girl.
person.
Yeah, we found her.
Yeah.
But there is still more to
Oh.
the story. I once had to pick her up from school because nobody else could, so I had to do it. And the school's policy is that you have to get out of the car and come all the way inside. The teacher is like making sure that everyone went home safe, I guess. And in front of the teacher, she was acting really nice. She was being so fake, like she actually smiled and said hi and even hugged me. It infuriates me how people think that she's so nice and sweet, but in reality, she's a completely different person. And that's it. That's all we get.
Wow. She's what is it? The Gremlins?
Yeah.
You know, that like I haven't seen it, but it's like where
Me
there's
neither.
the cute little things and they turn into
Right.
monsters.
And then you just like pour water on them or something.
It's
so
that.
in this case, like instead of putting water on them or like whatever all the other rules are, you like marry her dad and then she turns all crazy. I guess that's the rule in this case.
That's the rule.
Yeah. That's the end of our story though. We've got more coming.
Let's go.
See you there.
My stepsister and I fought constantly as kids. Now she wants to reconcile.
Sounds fishy to me.
My mom passed away when I was 6. Oh,
And my dad remarried when I was 9. The woman he married had a daughter 1 year younger than me, so she was 8. By the way, this comes from One Last Time 1713 on the OK Storytime subreddit. So at first, I loved having a new mom. She wasn't the best and will never replace my real mom, but I appreciate her trying to be there for me, and I am pretty close with her and my dad. At first, I loved having a sister, and we got along great. I loved having a playmate during vacations and always having a play or two. The problems really started to amp up when I was 13 and she was 12. It seemed like no matter what I did went unpunished in her eyes, and she had to mock me constantly. Being a hot-headed 13-year-old usually meant I'd retaliate, and we would have those long screaming matches till either of our parents told us to knock it off, or they would send up to different parts of the house to cool off. I also started playing football in high school, and my problem was that I was constantly getting injured. In 8 years, 11 to 18, I broke my arm, pinky, wrist, got 2 concussions, tore my ACL, sprained my MCL, and dislocated my shoulder. Maybe that's a sign that you should stop playing football.
Yeah, usually people stop after an ACL.
Dang. On top of all that, I was kind of chubby. I don't want to say I was fat. I was about 180 to 210 from the ages of 14 to 18 at 6'2".
Okay,
but you were probably like all like you're a football player.
Yeah, I'm 6'1" and 180.
Yeah, so it's like he's probably like all like muscle.
Yeah.
She used to make fun of me for my injuries and my weight, which were very touchy subjects for me. Her favorite insult was "you fat cripple loser."
She could have been way more clever, just saying.
That's just mean.
Yeah, that's mean. She could have been way funnier too.
Yeah, that was just like bam, bam, bam. Ouch. Or maybe if you lost some weight, you wouldn't get injured so often. Back then, those insults really pissed me off, but I kept trying to be the older brother and just told her to shut up, fight back, or storm off. She also loved to embarrass me when friends were over by bringing up dumb stuff I did when I was like 9 or 10. My friends are great people, but we tease each other a lot and would usually remember anything embarrassing we did and bring it up later. So whatever she said to them would always get back. I did talk with her if she could just shut up when I have my friends over, and she basically told me to F off and that it's her house too. At this point in my life, 16 years old, I am super pissed at how crappy she's treated me over the years.
She's just being a sister.
A bad one.
You didn't do this.
No. I know I caused some and usually fought back when she got snippy and bratty at me, but to me, she started more fights than I did. I did try to talk to my dad and stepmom about the way me and her treat each other, and they basically said it's normal sibling rivalry. I don't think that's a normal sibling rivalry. It goes beyond.
Me and my brother didn't really have a relationship until I started driving, and we spent more time together.
Yeah. Her antics got a lot worse, and her words got more and more mean-filled and vile, which meant I would retaliate with just as mean and vile-filled insults. I will not sit here and say I wasn't just as mean to her as she was to me. I used to bully her relentlessly for these hair buns she would wear from 13 to 14. If you want a picture, just look up the buns Leia wore from Star Wars. I also told her plenty of times that I hate her and don't consider her family. I have apologized so much for those too, because I feel bad. Even though she hasn't apologized, I know she feels bad too. I bet there were some other moments, but they didn't happen to me, so I probably forgot them. I moved out when I was 18 without ever sending her a text message goodbye or even telling her I was moving out. The past 5 years of unpleasantness between us made me happy that I didn't have to see her. A year later, she moved out, and I still resented her for how we treated each other.
I just remembered a very sad, tragic tale.
Oh, what is it?
I remember when a young Samuel Donner, he wanted to join the cool kids, but instead of labeling you as one of the cool kids,
They called me Salad Boy because I ate nothing but salads. Could not trade my lunch for a lunch. Cheese really anything.
You know what community will always welcome you with open arms, Sam?
And make you feel like a cool kid?
The great people who have OK Storytime memberships.
Oh, I heard that's 60 plus hours of members only content Monday, Wednesday, Fridays.
You heard right, Sam, and it's only $5 a month.
So go to the link in our description, youtube.com/OKOP show/join. Now back to the story.
Chomp, chomp.
We go almost 2 years without speaking, other than on holidays, and that's really only dry stuff, nothing big. I am now 21 and she's 20, and I got a text the other night asking why we aren't close like we were when we were kids. I basically said I don't care to get along with you or get close because of how we treated each other as kids. She told me to grow up.
Grow up, be close with me now.
She's like, why aren't you close to me? And he's like, well, we weren't close. And she's like, grow up.
Come on.
Just do it. And not even an hour later, I get a call from my dad asking why I have so much hate for my sister, in quotes, years since we have lived together. I told him I'll be cordial and I won't cut her out of my life, but I don't need or want to be close with her. How do I go about telling her that I don't want us to be close yet until we both want to be close, but leaving the door open for her not to resent me and we can still love each other? Edit. I would like to point out that I was just as mean to my stepsister. I don't have examples because it's been 5 years and didn't stick with me like hers did, but our fighting growing up did go both ways. Edit 2. Some people have said that I shouldn't cut her out of my life, and I agree with that. I love her and want to be there for her, but I don't like her enough to be close with her. And edit 3. I added more to the story of how I was crappy to her too. And there is an editor's note. OP was voted not the a-hole, and there are some relevant comments and an update. But before we get into that, what do you think OP should do?
He's right. They should not
can't
pursue a
force that.
healthy relationship until he's ready for it, because she may be, but she's still a child and she wants something out of him.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to know.
Yeah. No, that is a good question. Yeah, maybe she's like trying to get something out of this. I do think that it's going to hurt your relationship more in the long run if you force it when you're not ready.
Yeah.
But I think it seems like you both, I mean, she wants it now, but like you down the line seem to want it. So you both want it eventually. Maybe just like slowly. And it doesn't
Not
have to
time
happen
yet.
as fast. Like maybe it's just like talking to each other at holidays first, like having actual conversations.
Yeah.
But there are some relevant comments. OP, when told maybe his sister matured and changed. Honestly, OP says, I do want a relationship at some point with her, but some insults are a bit too fresh and could still hurt. I also want to explore life without being bogged down with a friendship I don't want with a person I wouldn't like. In due time, I would like there to be a close bond between us, just not yet. And don't get me wrong, I love her, and if she needed me, I'd be there in a second. But I don't want to really have that let's go get drinks and be buddies type of relationship at this point. I hope she knows that if any dude tried to harass her, I'd be on him in a second. I remembered I knocked the daylights out of a dude who slapped her butt when we were at the beach. So it's like, only I could be mean to you. If she ever needed to talk to me about advice, of course I'd be there for her. Just don't think I want that super close relationship yet. And I would love a super close relationship with you guys where you watch episodes of stories like this on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, or any of your podcast apps. Just search up OK Storytime.
Yeah.
And there is a little bit more to this story. There's an update. But any final thoughts to finish us off?
He's not ready yet. And I appreciate his emotional maturity to admit that.
I agree, but there is an update. After our text convo that led to my dad calling me asking what's wrong between us, I texted her about a meetup at my place. This was the first time we actually met/hung out outside of a family gathering. Before she came over, that realization gave me a new look on our relationship. The whole sit down went well. We actually got along and there wasn't any name calling or anything mean. We talked about how we treated each other, and this was the first time I've ever heard her apologize for how she treated me growing up, and I did the same. We talked about how the text convo went, and I came to the conclusion that I still had the old image of how she was when I last saw her at 17, and was using that to picture her now. She still kind of acts the same, kind of moody, but can hold it in so much better now, but it's a lot better. We talked it out and spent about half the day together just hanging out, and I'll admit I enjoyed it. I don't think we'll ever be super duper close, but it's a step in the right direction, and there isn't a wall of tension between us anymore. Thank you all for the advice and comments. It really came in handy, and I appreciate it.
All right.
And there are some final comments. Deleted says, I'm really envious, but extremely proud of you. Up until now, I still can't make things right between my big sis and me, but that's okay. Maybe we just need to mature and talk it out. Opie says, give her a shot. Invite her to a coffee meetup. That's what we did. And it really helped. Make sure it's public so things can't escalate to an actual screaming match. And that is the end of that story. But it seems like OP's got on the path to working it out.
Very amicable.
Yeah, it seems like they're going to figure it out. And I appreciate that. But that is the end of that story.
I told my ex's husband that he will never be my son's father after he bullied my son.
If you bully my son, you got a problem. And it's these.
It's that.
Papa.
Throwaway fake names. Duh. I, 31 male, have split custody of my son, Marcus, 12 male, with my ex, Lena, 30 female. Lena and I split up shortly after he was born and stayed friends, but have been less communicative since she married Eric, 42 male, 4 years ago. By the way, this comes from user Depressives Finar on the, and if you want to submit your own story, go ahead and submit it on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. Oh, we have had disagreements. I don't approve of certain things they've been doing, and they think I spoil him. But until recently, we've managed to keep things civil. Marcus is a great kid, and I love him. He's smart, funny, and caring, and he's taught me so much about being a human. Having him saved my life and changed it for the better. He's also more or less my only family, so I really treasure him and our time together. Recently, he's gotten chubby and depressed, which I only mention because it's relevant. I was concerned over my son gaining weight, but I didn't want to do much other than making sure we eat healthy. He's still active in sports, which I encourage, and a lot will change with puberty. His mom and stepdad are upset, though, and I now know that they had Marcus on a restricted diet and are putting a lot of pressure on him to lose weight. At first, it didn't seem like much, but it became more unreasonable. Like, before this incident, I got in trouble with Eric for buying Marcus a size up in clothes since he thought that he should trim down to fit his old ones better. I told him that I wasn't going to apologize for giving my son pants, and he never responded, which is the correct thing to say.
Yes.
Last week, when I came to pick him up, Marcus was still packing his bag. Lena invited me inside for coffee, and we were making small talk when I heard shouting. Apparently, Marcus had been hiding snacks in his room. Eric found candy bars in his overnight bag, which they no longer allow in the house, and pulled them out to show us as evidence. I got upset when he called Marcus names and told him he wouldn't be fat if he weren't so greedy, and told him to treat my son with respect. Dude, I'm sorry.
Why are you bullying a child?
I told him to treat my son with respect. Marcus went to the car and things devolved from there. I said the thing in the title, called him a bully, and a lot of expletives got thrown around. I didn't hear from Lena until later when she texted to tell me that she was furious with me. I was still reeling from everything, so the conversation is a blur. I tried to tell her I was sorry, but that I couldn't understand why she would allow him to treat Marcus that way. She told me that while it was a bit much, Marcus broke their rules, and Eric was right that he should lose weight. She also told me that I don't know anything about the disrespect Marcus gives them, and that I only experienced the fun parts of being a parent, and accused me of encouraging bad behavior that she has to deal with. I had a talk with Marcus and told him I love him and that he has nothing to be ashamed of. He seems better, but I'm not looking forward to taking him back to his mom's house. I know I made things worse, and I should have removed myself from the situation. But I wouldn't feel right if I didn't at least stand up for my son. So, am I the a-hole?
Let's read those comments.
Obviously no.
Because no.
OP speaks on the custody agreement here. Custody is 50-50 every other week, and it's more even now. But my ex has taken him on several times when work or school got out of hand for me, so he's been with her more on average. I owe her for that, and I want to make it up to her. But I need to reflect on and talk to her about the idea that I'm the fun parent and how I can fix that. That being said, it's kind of a secondary concern right now, considering what's going on with my kid. I didn't think it was that weird and probably underestimated the issue based on my judgment of my child's weight changes being normal, but I should have picked up on other red flags. If this is what's happening in front of me, I fear it's very likely much worse, and just making my home a safe space for my kid isn't enough. What I'm getting from this situation is that I really need to talk to a bunch of professionals.
You need to, your child, you said that your child was feeling more depressed. I think we need to figure out like what's going on. I think the focus should not be on his weight, but on like why he's being sad, like why he's sad.
Why sad? What do make sad? Not the a-hole. Your comment about being in trouble with Eric concerned me deeply. You are Marcus's father, not Eric. It is Eric who should be in trouble with you for daring to criticize buying larger clothes for Marcus. I doubt screaming will do any good, and Eric sounds like a... I suggest you speak with an attorney and put Eric in his place. OP responds, honestly, I've been feeling like I live in the Twilight Zone since then. It was so bizarre and so insane, I started wondering if I was crazy. Commenter says, everyone sucks here. Has your ex taken your son to the doctor? Is she following medical advice on weight loss? Did you ask her about any of that? I recommend that you or your ex, and not her husband, sit down in a neutral place where neither of you are angry and discuss what's best for your son. Everyone needs to drop the ego and concentrate on what's best for Marcus. Does he need to modify his diet, be more active? Is there something going on medically? Figure it out. If he does need to lose weight, then work with a dietitian who works with prepubescent kids. Restricting food to the point that he's hiding it is not healthy. OP says, I don't know if I should have included this in the post, but to the best of my knowledge and based on the conversations I've had with Marcus since, This doesn't seem to be based on any actual medical advice or have entailed any visits to a doctor. Right, because a doctor's not going to tell you that you're like slightly chubby 12-year-old needs to be on a restricted diet.
I'm sorry, children don't like there are very few cases where a child needs to be like on a restricted diet. And it's not this case for sure.
Yeah, 100%. From what I've gathered, it's just very broad, drastic restriction of his food intake, which is making things worse. That being said, I need to hear more from my son and my ex before I come to any conclusions. This is also wildly out of character for her. I've never seen her be cruel to anyone, especially not our son, and I'm worried for her too. I definitely want to take him to the doctor myself and get some expert advice or counseling on several fronts. This is a big wake-up call that I've horribly underestimated how bad things are. I didn't think it was anywhere near enough to justify this kind of action, but regardless of whether there's something physically wrong like a thyroid problem, this is a deeply unhealthy situation for my child, and I need to make it right. Another comment here says a lot of kids, especially boys, will chunk up before they shoot up. Crazy sentence. Unless a doctor has a concern, it shouldn't be an issue. They should be seeking medical advice before putting a child on a diet, not the a-hole. OP, I fully agree with this, and I think this is a huge overreaction to a weight change that could result in a serious, vicious spiral. But I really do think I was wrong to handle it the way I did. Standing up for my son is one thing. I needed to shut that down and to make some serious long-term changes to help him with his living situation. But letting that spiral into an out-of-control fight with another adult who is still very much one of his guardians isn't going to help him. Commenter says, I think they all because they could put their differences aside and talk about the situation in the best interests of the kid instead of yelling at each other and having two different parenting styles.
I understand what this is saying, but it's not really about having two different parenting styles. It's about these one half of the parenting people are child. They're like calling him greedy and chubby. That's not a parenting style. That's just being mean.
OP says, after reading through this, I definitely effed up that interaction. Standing up for my kid is one thing, but not removing myself from the situation before it escalated and letting it devolve like that is another, and it doesn't help my son. I'm definitely a lot more upset at his stepdad than I realized, and it's been building for a while. I do think my son's right ahead of a growth spurt and that it's not an abnormal or concerning amount of weight. And that's why I wasn't worried, but I need to talk more to my ex. I care about her and I very much want to have a discussion with her, but navigating her husband is going to be difficult. It's hard for me not to see his behavior as really cruel and bizarre. Either way, I have a lot of work to do. Do you discipline him at all? OP responds regarding discipline, I honestly don't know what I'd discipline him for. I don't want to be a dad who considers my child above all wrongdoing, and I do want to hold high standards for my kid and teach him the right values. I've been questioning how well I do that after what my ex said, but he's really well behaved with me and makes a point to help care for our home and make my life easier when he's in my custody, so I haven't seen it personally. If he's acting up with his mom or anyone else, I do want to intervene and tell him that it's not okay to be disrespectful. But this is the first time she's complained about him to me, and in light of his stepdad being like this, I can't help but think that if he's acting out with them, it's not actually because of anything wrong with him.
I agree. They're probably saying really mean stuff, and he's acting out, he's reacting to what he's hearing.
Exactly.
To the bull.
Exactly. Mini update in the comments 2 hours later. Hello, all. Lots of responses very fast. Thank you all for the support, suggestions, and brutal honesty. I do think I was wrong to escalate the situation and not remove myself sooner. There's a lot of things I need to do as a father, and I value all of your feedback. I do want to respond to something. I've had a few people in the comments tell me that Eric is my son's other dad by virtue of being in that house and married to my ex. But I guess my problem is that I don't think he should be. I would be more than happy to welcome another parental figure in my kid's life. I don't think I have monopoly on being dad or anything, but as it stands, my child hates and fears him, and I do not think anyone who does that to my child deserves to call themselves his parent.
Anyone who's saying like, oh, he's a dad or he's your kid's dad because he's married to your ex, it's like, no, your child decides who his parents are. And if he made the decision, he starts calling your ex's new partner dad, that's not, that's his decision. But right now, it doesn't seem like he sees this man as his dad.
No, he just sees him as a scary man who yells at him and calls him fat.
And at the end of the day, you are his father. And this man shouldn't be, really having the final say at the end of the day.
I felt the same way about my bio parents, and I refused to acknowledge them as my family. So I guess that's where that comment about him not being my son's dad came from. That being said, I know I'm in the wrong for shouting at him out of anger instead of trying to be the adult, and this does nothing to help my son.
Yeah, but you're human. You're human and someone was bullied and you got angry.
I also don't want anyone blaming any of this on my son or suggesting that he's being a wiener to his mom and stepdad. He's 12. Children act out of distress when adults treat them poorly or fail them, myself included. He's the only person in this situation who's not at fault. I will keep trying to talk to my ex, get counseling for my son, and seek out legal advice. And there's an update numero 2 days later. Thanks again for your responses. I am in touch with social services and filed for emergency custody since I don't see a non-legal way forward. Many pointed out the way that Lena and Eric treat my son would push him towards disordered eating or it could be malnutrition. Unfortunately, it seems to be some degree of both.
No.
I learned more regarding what they let Marcus eat. 900 to 1,000 calories a day versus a recommended 2,500.
Oh my God. 900 calories for a teen. Well, one for like any person is not enough. But for a teen, a growing boy going through puberty, that's a CPS thing. Yeah.
No wonder he's hiding food. Yeah, and it was the restrictive diet that pushed him to seek food. The humiliation is also constant behind closed doors. I fear there's more he's afraid to tell me. He's physically okay, according to the pediatrician, but hurt. Trying to make sure he knows he has nothing to be ashamed of and that the person who should be ashamed is the one who did this. Regarding other things in my ex's house, Eric apparently often starts nasty fights with Marcus. He has also said some pretty demeaning and disturbing things about my background, which is unsurprising. His mom gets shouted down when she tries to defend him. She both sides the situation afterwards, holding husband and child equally responsible. Lena reached out to apologize. She said that she knows Eric was wrong and promised to try and talk sense into him. I told her this wasn't enough. It's not enough. And asked why she went along with it. She seemed to wake up when I told her that they seriously hurt Marcus and agreed that their behavior was unacceptable, but begged me to let her try and fix it.
Nope.
Yeah, dude. No, authorities. No. I asked if she feels safe at home. She wouldn't give me a straight answer, but promised that she's not physically unsafe and will seek help if needed. I feel for her, but no longer trust her. I recorded the call just in case. We're in a one-party consent country, and we'll keep gathering evidence. And by the way, you can gather the evidence of full episodes with stories like this. And you can gather it at iHeartRadio or Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, search OK Storytime, and then you'll have all the evidence you need to convict us for a lifetime of storytelling.
I don't really have any other thoughts other than you need to go to court and get that, full custody. It might be really hard to go through all that custody stuff, but right now, his mom can't protect him because she's in an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
And getting him out is obviously it's going to be hard, but getting him out is the main priority.
So I would say you definitely still get him out, but in my head, it's like, dude, all right, Marcus, you don't have to stay there anymore. You stay with me. I know it's 1 week on, 1 week off, but then you could also go to them and be like, do you really think that if you try to be like, he's not following the custody agreement, that the courts are going to be like, oh yeah, you can just starve the kid all day?
Well, you can get temporary custody.
If you go to the court, if they go to the court, then it's just going to shut it down. So you might be able to circumvent that, not for the sake of, just for the sake of the, emergency custody.
Yeah, you can get that pretty quickly because there's proof here.
I think keeping the fight as restrained as possible for the sake of Marcus, I don't know. That would be my advice. Do it, and if you can't do that, then of course you do the fight.
I think there's also a world where the wife or his ex-wife doesn't really fight that much because it seems like she's somewhat understanding what's going on here.
Honestly, I'm scared. I was failed badly by social services and courts as a kid, so I don't have faith in them. It's also complicated because Lena and I never married. Ooh, I'm a legal guardian, but we had Marcus as teens with no support, and there's a complex history there. I'm saving details for the lawyer to get advice specific to my situation, but I'm not letting Eric near my son. Good job. Good. That's good. That is definitely good. And there's some comments here from OP, or replies from OP. Commenter says, not the a-hole. Something is going on in that house, and it isn't good for your son. If he does have an eating disorder, then it could have developed by whatever is happening in that house. FYI, it is never about food. My question is, why did your son not tell you this was happening? More to the point, what other weird stuff is occurring? Eric should not be trying to parent your son. It sounds like he boy and the child's mother. His call to you about buying your kid pants was a weird dominance flex against you. Basically, Eric has no respect for any of you, and your son is suffering due to it. I wonder why his mother can't see that. What has changed over the last 4 years? OP says it's a lot uglier than what I've written, honestly. There's so many details and minor escalations over the years that I'm putting together in my head. From what my son has told me, the weight shaming is much worse in that house. Like some truly disgusting comments about his body that make what I witnessed look mild by comparison. I understand why he's scared or embarrassed to talk about it. He was already tearing up when he admitted that to me, and it's hard for children to discuss that kind of humiliation. Regarding the dominance flex, I've always been aware that Eric looks down on me, though he never said it to my face until our fight. I work a blue-collar job, didn't go to school, and had my kid at 18, and he thinks that this makes him more responsible or fit to parent than I am. There's other elements to it, and today I learned he called me a lot of things in front of my son and ex, but that's how he saw me from the start, and it's only gone downhill from there. And that is the end of that story. Yeah, I really hope.
Get him away from your child.
Get him away.
He said he will not be allowing his kid around Eric.
Good.
Ever again.
I'm severely allergic to my little brother's kitten's fur, but my stepdad doesn't care. Come on, man. She's allergic. I feel this. I'm very allergic to cats. Background. For the first 12 years, it was just me and my mom, now 40s female, and things were good. We were happy, etc., etc. Usual good single-parent household stuff. Freaking stepdad had to come in. By the way, this comes from Deleted. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, 6 years ago, she gets married to my stepdad, who we'll call Frank from now on. And he's a good guy, a little stuck in his ways, but a nice guy. I was 12 when they got married, and Frank took me on wholeheartedly, which was great since I'd never had a father figure before. Not long after they got married, my mom fell pregnant and had my little brother, who we'll call Tommy. And I love my little brother. I did everything I could to help my mom and Frank look after him. I cried just as hard as them when he took his first steps. We're really close. That's sweet. But a few months ago, my mom and Frank split up. Divorce was amicable. Tommy spends every other weekend with Frank, and I know I can go around whenever I want. I'm 18. Courts can't say anything for me. But I'm busy with school, so I don't see him as often as I probably should. The problem. After my mom and Frank broke up and Frank moved out, Tommy started pleading for a pet. Now, we've been a pet-free household, with the exception of a few goldfish, for my entire life. But my mom has a soft spot for Tommy's pleading face, so she looked online and found a litter of kittens ready to go. So one day, Tommy came home from school to a tiny black kitten that he called Shadow, and he was totally in love. Now, I've always been asthmatic, and I'd noticed that going around my friends' houses who had cats, I'd get a bit more wheezy, but I put that down to the fact that me and my friends are quite active, and we practice dances and laugh till we cry pretty much every time we meet up. So I get wheezy at houses without pets too. Kind of shocking to not know that you're allergic to cats. But within a day or so, I was using my inhaler every 15 minutes or so. That night, my mom had to take me to the ER because of a severe asthma attack that caused me to stop breathing more than once. This was thankfully Tommy's weekend at his dad's, so he didn't see me like that and didn't have to come to hospital with us. While at the hospital, my mom was told that if it was cat fur that had done this to me. An allergy combined with my asthma had triggered the extreme attack, and I shouldn't be around cat fur for very long. I didn't remember much other than that. I was mostly terrified that this was the end. That I was going to pass away at 18 from a freaking asthma attack. So this bit is filled in by my mom, who told me afterwards, once we were sure I was going to be okay. She phoned Frank and explained what had happened and asked if he could go pick up Shadow and rehome him in some way and call the deep cleaners to come and basically steam the house clean to make sure that all remnants of fur were gone by the time we got home. And she'd stay with me in a motel for the night so this could be done. According to Mom, he agreed to this wholly, expressed worry towards me, and even promised to gently break the news to Tommy. We get home after the night in the motel, and all signs that we ever had a cat are gone. Frank's left a note on the kitchen table letting us know that he's taken Shadow to live with him so that Tommy doesn't have to entirely get rid of his kitten. Mom's a little annoyed because that still introduces cat fur around me, but we quickly set up a system that Tommy would strip off just inside the front door, be dumped in the bath, and his clothes dumped in the wash straight away, and we should be fine. Tommy comes home and Mom puts him through that. He's confused a little, but goes with it anyway and asks me to read him a bedtime story. Things go on like this for a month or two. Tommy occasionally going to Frank's apartment on weekends that he was technically meant to spend with Mom because he wanted to visit his kitten, and Mom was happy to let him do that. The fallout. One weekend, he stays with us, and I take him to the park because I still feel really guilty that his beloved pet had to go because of me, and we're on the swings. I'm pushing him on the swings. And this conversation occurs. Tommy: I can't wait till I get my report card next week. Me: yeah, you think you've done really well, do you? Tommy: and then Shadow can come home. Me: what? Tommy: Dad told me. Mom said Shadow had to live with Dad because I wasn't doing well at school. But now I've done really well, so Shadow can come home.
Whoa. She totally used this whole cat thing to like have Tommy do better in school.
Whoa. I don't answer. I can't. Frank had lied to Tommy, and now Mom is going to have to explain what's actually happened. It'll be even harder than it was before because he really has worked hard. So we're assuming that the stepdad has said, oh, your mom said you can't have. Whoa, that's messed up. That's messed up. You should be telling this child the truth. I don't think it matters that he's young. I think you should say, like, hey, your sister's very allergic, so it just means you can't have the cat. But, we're not going to get rid of him. We just got to keep going like this.
And then just being like, well, like, I'm not happy with your grades. If your grades get better, then maybe this cat can come back, when that's not even true at all.
I've seen his report card, and I have never seen him have one that sings his praises so much. That evening, once Tommy's in bed, I tell my mom about the conversation, and she's horrified. She phones Frank and tells me that his basic response was, I thought it would be easier. I didn't think he'd actually get his grades up. Like, I didn't know it'd work. So we're both fuming. Mom sits down with Tommy and explains the truth. It's nothing to do with his grades. She's really sorry. It's because Shadow made me very unwell, so on and so forth. I listen from outside the door, and I hear Tommy crying and saying it's unfair and he worked really hard. Within an hour, Mom is taking Tommy to Frank's. He comes home that evening and won't talk to Mom. He storms straight upstairs and slams the bathroom door. He's used to the strip off and straight in the bath routine now. It's been a week and a bit, and he's not spoken to either of us. I'd be okay to deal with this if that was all. He's 5. He'll grow out of it and speak to us again eventually. But he's continued to storm upstairs without stripping off at the door. And I'm starting to find cat hairs on my bed. My bedroom is nowhere near the bathroom. There's no way any accidental cross-contamination could go on. I've phoned Frank up a few times to ask how Tommy's doing, and he's really cagey and saying how angry Tommy is, not just at his mom, but at me too. And maybe I'm overthinking, but I always think he sounds a little happy when he's talking about how angry Tommy is at me. And my brother's a sweetheart. He's the little kid who cries if you step on an ant. I can't believe he's coming and spreading cat hair in my room of his own volition. But I don't really want to tell my mom because I don't want to get Tommy into massive trouble. You should absolutely tell your mom. I mean, he's 5. She'll have a conversation with him. He doesn't understand, but you should absolutely have a conversation so that this doesn't keep happening because you're at risk.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been sneakily washing my sheets and hoovering my room as often as I can to make sure I'm not getting too wheezy, but I'm worried about ending up in hospital again. What should I do? And there is an update, but girl, tell your mom.
Tell your mom. Because even if this is like the stepdad, then it's like no one is safe except for you and your mom. Like that's the only person that you could talk to. So do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like, I think whatever you told him, maybe it isn't enough. Maybe you haven't told Tommy how serious it is. Like, I know he's young, but like, you could say this is really serious. Like, it would not be good. Beyond maybe saying like, oh, it just makes me sick. First off, there is an update. Thank you all for your responses. I took the time to read through each of them and took everything on board. So Friday morning, I told my mom what was going on before I headed off to school and told her that I really didn't want to get Tommy in trouble. She said we'd sit down and talk with him after school, the pair of us, and get to the bottom of this. and he'd be grounded and have a scooter taken away because he's not getting away with it. So we sat down and talked with him. This is a summary of the conversation. Mom, have you been putting cat hair on your sister's bed? Tommy, yeah. Mom, that's very wrong, Tommy, because explanation of severe allergy. Tommy looks shocked at this point. I don't think he'd figured out that it could actually remove me from this plane. Exactly. And which is what I'm saying. I'm like, you have to have a serious conversation with him. I know he's young, but like explain this could unalive OP.
Right. 5-year-olds can learn about that stuff.
He kept looking at me and I was nodding in agreement with Mom. He said, sorry, Dad said that if you were okay with a bit of cat hair, Shadow could come home. He said that was a good way for him to come back. I'm sorry. Mom, what exactly did Dad say? He said that OP got sick from cat hair, but having little bits about would mean she got better at being around it and then Shadow could come home, like my injections, which kind of is true unless you have a very serious allergy. It can be true that you can get used to it over time, but also OP has asthma, so it is a very different situation.
Yeah, that's not something that goes away.
So since then, Mom and I have basically gone no contact with Frank. Tommy went for his weekend there with the knowledge that he's grounded, and that's been passed on. When Mom asked Frank about what Tommy had said, he denied it, saying he explained allergies properly and that it sucked, but that was the way it was. We don't believe him. But since it's the word of a 5-year-old against that of a 40-year-old pillar of community, there's nothing we can do about it. Tommy came home yesterday evening, stripped off at the door, went straight to the bath, and then came and gave me a hug once he was clean. He's such a sweet 5-year-old.
That's really sweet.
Apologizing again for what he'd done. Of course, I'd forgiven him. He's a little kid who's been manipulated by a grown-up, which sucks. But you know it doesn't. Joining us for full episodes with stories just like this, just go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app and just search up OK Storytime. And there is a little bit more to the story, so we're gonna freaking jump in it. Unless you have any final thoughts.
Just that's crazy, Frank. Like, if that is true with like allergies and stuff, like it doesn't seem worth the risk here.
No, I mean, it is true. It is true, but this is a different case. I had allergy shots for years. It is same with vaccines. You know, you're giving a little bit of that allergy or that infection so that you can build a tolerance to it. But it is completely different in OP's case because we've already had her experiencing this, you know, hospitalization. And also it takes a long time. As someone, you know, like I never had cats. I'm sure if I got cats, I could eventually build up an immunization to it or immunity to it, but it's not fun. I get like hives or I'm like sneezing and coughing and I have headaches. It's not fun.
I'm sure like hospital trips aren't fun either.
So now hopefully the issue has been put to rest. It sucks to know that Frank tried to do that to me, whether he thought he was helping or was just being a jackbutt. I guess we'll never know. But I cut him out of my life, and that's that, I guess. Edit, as per other suggestions, I will be getting Tommy a little plush cat sometime soon for him to have at home. It's not his fault.
That's really cute.
I love their relationship. That's very sweet. My father and stepmother had my head shaved when I was a kid. My mother still hasn't gotten over it.
Yikes, was it that bad?
I wouldn't either. My parents have been divorced for a long time. I have long, thick hair that the family is creepily proud of. This happened back when I was about 12 years old. By the way, this comes from That Is Not My Fate on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, my parents live a bit away from each other. My father had taken us suddenly, so we were all at his place when I started to feel itchy. I told him about it and we went to the doctor. I had lice.
Ooh.
Yikes. Not sure how. The only time I share anything for the head is at home. The doctor checked my brother and sister's heads. My sister only had a few, but my brother, well, he had a lot.
Oh no.
The doctor gave us a script for the shampoo and comb and said to my father, you need to take special care of her hair as it is longer and thicker than your other 2 children's hair. My father nodded and off we went. I was hopeful to have this resolved quickly. As I had lice before, each time was with my mother, whom would just use the comb, but afterwards would sometime nitpick my hair so she could get all the little buggers off me. And I would always be lice-free in 3 days or less with her method. My father got on his cell phone as he was driving, dangerous I know, and called my mom. He had her on speakerphone so we could all hear. She picked up, and as she was starting to say hello, my father snapped,
The kids have lice.
Oh.
Why did you give the kids lice?
Oh, why did you do that?
I heard my mother say, I told you to check their hats. That my brother's name has a strange habit of giving them. them. And he likes to shove his hats on his sister's heads, more so my name, since she hates people messing with her head or hair. However, she does quite well with nitpicking, said my mother in a calm voice.
Nitpicking?
Asked my father. My mother told him about the methods that worked best with each of us and how to do it, even saying she could send video demos if he was too confused.
That's nice.
My
Little-
father dismissed this.
Little SOPs.
I got this, he said before he hung up, not even saying goodbye. He drove us home after we picked up the shampoo. For some odd reason, he didn't give it to me and my siblings.
So he's giving you false hope.
That's crazy. That's even
We'll
worse.
get the shampoo.
He's like, we'll buy it.
Just to make you feel like you have some hope.
The next day, our stepmother took us out. I had said, I'm not comfortable going out with lice. I don't want to infect others, to my stepmother. She smiled. Your father told me all about that. We've got it covered. We're going swimming today. Chlorine will kill the lice. It kills everything. Just stay underwater for a long time. Oh, and we got a nice surprise for you.
Let's go.
She said with a smile. Oh no.
All
I see you.
right, dude, this is smart.
So we got lunch at a restaurant in town. Stepmom was trying to make me feel better, but kind of hard to do when she ordered me her favorite food, which I refused to eat. She takes us to the pool. I was ready to go in, but she grabbed me. Not you. Not yet. You get a spa day first.
This sounds like a pretty good day.
Oh my gosh, she sounds like terrifying.
What's the thing that you do with lice? Do you put like mayo in your hair?
Yep.
That's what it is?
You put peanut butter in there too.
Really?
Yep.
I've never had
Some-
Sometimes
butter.
you put like some sort of soap,
I never had lice, so I don't.
red
I
know
never
how to
had
do
lice.
that.
apple vinegar. You also put some mustard in there sometimes to do it.
What
You make it a
concoction are you
whole
putting in
Maybe
your
salad
you
hair?
could put like Coca-Cola or some Mountain Dew.
I can't tell if you're being serious or not now. I thought you were just going on a
Hey,
rant-
this is some
a rant.
South stuff, dude.
Really?
Don't worry about them. Others will
Basics
watch
and
them. Oh, wait.
gravy.
I looked back worried, but my siblings, I said. Don't worry about them. Others will watch them, said my stepmother as she took me to a nearby hair salon. We entered and I was feeling super anxious. I'm really picky about my hair and only like it when I go to the places my mother takes me to. As the last place my father got my hair cut at camp made me look like someone cut my hair in the dark. We are your 1 o'clock appointment, said my stepmom. The woman looked at me and said, Her? But her hair, said the woman at the desk. My stepmom was quick. We have the money. My husband called and already ordered the haircut. Our little girl is looking forward to it, said my stepmom. I looked at her confused. What? I asked, surprised. The woman behind the desk sighed and took me to the back. She washed my hair and kept apologizing to me. I had no idea why. That was until we got to the chair and she started to lop off my hair.
No.
I was staring, surprised. Remember to shave it as close as you can to the skin. It has to be really short. Her hair is so thick, no one will notice. My stepmother called from the waiting area. I'm ready to cry at this moment as my hair is disappearing right before my eyes. People are muttering. I had no idea what they were saying, but in my mind at the time, I thought they were talking about how horrible I looked with short hair. After a while, since they had to cut my hair first, then buzz, since my hair was so long and wavy, I now had a haircut shorter than my brother's. This is like, that's abuse. These parents should never be allowed to be around you ever again. I go back to my stepmom who was paying the woman whom asked, what did she do wrong for her to get this? She asked before giving me a lollipop. Nothing. Thought she would feel cooler this way as summer's coming, said my stepmother. She then took me back to the pool and told me to soak my head to end any leftover lice. We swam for a bit more before heading home. We all showered, each of us now allowed to use lice getting rid of shampoo, and then had our hair combed. However, my father looked at my hair. There's still some hair left. Her hair is too thick. I am not able to deal with this. These people, this guy should not be a parent, he said before he got a razor and shaved off the stubble on my head. Well, I had no more lice, but I had no more hair either. I was upset by this and hid in my room for the rest of the visit, refusing to come out except to eat or go to the bathroom. If I was this person's mother, I would literally go to court. I would go to court to never allow this man to ever be around my child again. Our dad dropped us off at my mom's a week later when she wasn't home. He wasn't stupid. He knew what she would do if she saw my head. Well, my mom got home and noticed we were already there a few hours early. She was happy to see us until she saw my head. I can still hear her screams. She called my father over. He arrived about 20 minutes later. What did you do to our daughter's hair?
That's right.
She
There we go.
snapped, pointing to me as I was hiding my head under a blanket so not to show my hairless head. She had lice. I fixed it. She shouldn't have thick hair to begin with. What do you mean she shouldn't have thick hair? What do you mean she shouldn't have thick hair?
Dude.
That's her hair.
Just get the papers together. You don't have to worry about a thick hair anymore.
Like
We're gonna
literally,
solve this.
yeah.
Yeah, we're Don't worry about it anymore.
You have thick hair. I have thick hair. So our kid is gonna have thick hair. You shaved her bald, yet did nitpicking with the other two? She hissed. No, just a comb. We still got lice, chimed my sister. No, you don't. And why should I? Kids shouldn't even have lice. So she shouldn't have thick hair. Kids shouldn't have lice. You shouldn't have kids.
Bing, bang, boom, bop,
Easy.
bam.
Snapped my father. My mother rolled her eyes. You shaved your daughter's head because you were too lazy to do your job as a father. Do you know why your daughter's hair was so long? Snapped my mother. Because you think she looks cute that way. Snapped my father. My mother turned to me. Tell your father why you were growing your hair, she said, more trying not to sound harsh with me. I peeked my head out. I wanted to look like my favorite princess Rapunzel.
Oh, no.
Oh, my father gaped at me.
You told her to say that. She likes her hair like this.
Then why is she hiding? Snapped my mother. This went on for about an hour until my father left in a huff, telling everyone that
I wanted to be bald.
Yep, she really wanted that, guys.
I was crying at this point as I felt so misunderstood. My mother gave me a stuffed animal and told me to relax in my room. After an hour or so, my mom showed up with a poorly made yarn wig.
Aw.
Honey, I called up some friends who are currently making you hair hats so you can at least pretend you have hair. I know how much you like your hair. Now listen, I might still be mad at him, but don't worry. Hair grows. You will have your hair back in no time. Aw. Yeah, that her father's. By the way, you know what doesn't? Listening to full episodes with stories just like this, just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left to the story.
What would you do?
If I was his mother, I would go to court to make sure that he lost custody.
Yeah, but how much to go bald?
How much would I go to go bald?
Yeah.
I don't think I could
Depends
go bald.
what it's for.
Oh, I guess so. But I don't think I could
Money
go bald.
in
How
your
much money?
pocket. How much?
I don't know.
10 grand.
No,
Sure.
No.
All right, 20.
I don't know. I don't really do things.
50 grand.
I don't know.
I would.
I'd have to think about it.
How
I
much
don't
would
wanna
you do
go
it for,
bald.
Riley?
If it was just to cut my hair, I'd do it. But like if it was to cut my hair short, I'd do that. But like, I don't know about
No,
bald.
like you're going full on V for Vendetta. Natalie Portman, shaved head,
I'm gonna do.
I'd have to think.
like
What's
army cut.
3.5% of a house in California? Plus
Brother.
7K, plus 10K.
I don't know.
But
That's what I'd do it for.
That's
But we're gonna
absurd.
Finish this story off.
Have you ever had lice, Riley? Because
I have not.
have any of your siblings?
No.
Oh,
Then
okay.
okay, I feel
My
like
mother
all of
would
this-
behead us if we ever did that.
Yeah, I feel like lice is-
she does not like throw up. I
Oh, dang.
don't even want to
I was gonna
ask her what she'd do if we ever got lice.
I was gonna say lice is like not very common out here. I don't know. Maybe it is.
Yeah,
but
it is.
I don't know.
People
I've
had
never met.
lice all the time at my school growing up.
Same.
Really? I've
Yeah.
never met anyone who has had lice.
My mom was like, "Don't share hats, don't share brushes."
Bro, what? And you know a lot of people.
Exactly.
I
Start asking
But
people.
we have more to the story.
It's a weird.
I
shit.
spent that summer wearing lots of funny hats. He tried to shave me bald a few more times after that, but my mom had told my siblings to not let him or my stepmom get near me with any hair cutting places or devices. And whenever my father tries something we won't like, my mother reminds him his mistakes will take months to correct. And if you ask about the time with my mom, she will growl about how she's still mad at him. Why is he around you? Why is he around you still?
I don't know.
Why was he allowed to be around you?
No clue.
But that's the end of that story.
We've been estranged from my stepmother-in-law because she's self-centered.
Well, maybe she should recenter herself.
Backstory for context. My husband's childless stepmom married his dad when he was 15. I have known her since I was 17 when I started dating my now husband. And by the way, this comes from user JibGirl. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, she has been a self-absorbed, hardcore drain from the start. However, I was young and a person who, due to childhood trauma, always wanted to keep the peace, so I never rocked the boat. When we got married, I saw some upcoming challenges coming my way by her being my stepmother-in-law. I really noticed it when we started having kids and she was now grandmother to them. Got insufferable and I would share info/boundaries with her, but it never hit home because she didn't want to face the music and would be manipulative by crying to end the discussion. Over the years, she has been a thorn in my side by constantly giving me unsolicited advice about my kids, my pets, the garden, our food, etc., keeping watchful detective-like tabs on us and interrogating us and testing us. She has a shrill, annoying, intense voice and gets ornery and argumentative if my kids or I don't do it just like her.
Uh-oh.
It comes across as lecturing, controlling, and highly critical, and also I don't respect her advice for many reasons I won't get into, so I just don't want to hear it from her at all. My kids think of her as an elderly great aunt. They have expressed she lacks the warmth of a grandma. She makes them uncomfortable at times with her intense and strange behaviors. They love her though, and I know she does love them as well in her own way. Later on, I tried to limit my contact with her as I was developing a severe allergy to her and didn't want to go into anaphylactic shock.
Wait, to the stepmother?
I'm sure that's being a little jokey, a little cheeky.
I was like, what?
Imagine though, it was like, yeah, literally she started
was
coming
literally
around
just-
and my throat would close up
Yeah.
and my eyes would swell shut, and it's like, you're allergic to her perfume.
Yeah,
Which
I
would be a great excuse to not have her around.
Yeah, like, sorry, I'm literally allergic to you. You can't be around me.
Sorry, your presence will literally send me to the hospital.
Yeah, bummer.
However, there were some issues this spring I couldn't push away. My mom was being made to feel uncomfortable by my stepmother-in-law, who was lately always grilling her for information while we would do combined family activities, and I'm very protective of my mom. Also, I had lent stepmother-in-law a pair of my glasses, and when I asked for them back, because she is a hoarder, she had a hard time giving my glasses back to me and gave me the 3rd degree. So this past June, I texted stepmother-in-law regarding these issues, not a phone call because she interrupts and cries and nothing can be said or resolved. Hi, great seeing you and blank last night. That was neat that blank could have some one-on-one time with both of her grandparents together. I would have shared this last night, but I didn't want to discuss in front of blank last night while you were interrogating me about my glasses and then about if my mom attended the game in blank location. It made me think about how this is an ongoing issue. I've heard you talk to my mom many times and interrogate her about how long she stays at my house and whatnot. It is obnoxious. No more interrogating when you talk, please. Thank you, smiley face.
That's not going to be received well.
That was a declaration of war.
I'm sorry, you called her obnoxious?
Yeah, kind of had a great message in a way.
Yeah,
and then
she
you
went,
go,
you're obnoxious.
it's obnoxious. Don't do that anymore.
Girly,
Thanks.
that's
It's like,
not, again, people need a class in how to text things when
Yeah.
they're trying to confront people. How do we text people?
Guys,
And it's
talk
not
to
this
Gen Z.
way. Yeah.
Talk to Gen Z. They know how to text. It's exhausting, but they know how to do it.
It's true.
My stepmother-in-law never responded with no apology and never spoke about it. We had a family dinner event a couple weeks after I sent that text, and she acted sheepish and injured, like she couldn't walk properly. I said hello, gave her a hug, like I always do. We then had a couple more family events lumped together, all in June, and I noticed the same sheepish look, walking funny, victim vibes, etc. So we didn't really chat. There was an obvious wall between us, but other people were there, so there was a buffer. She saw my mom at these events, never apologized to her though. To date, I haven't seen my stepmother-in-law since the end of June. Fast forward to November, my husband wrote her an email as he wants to get the ball rolling for resolution. Since there has been no contact on her end, he outlined deeper details about how in our 20 years of marriage, our interactions with her have been unpleasant due to what I've outlined already, and talks of moving forward and what that looks like. His dad updated him saying it was not enjoyable for her to read. And sometimes the truth isn't
Yeah.
enjoyable to
Sounds
hear.
like maybe he had a better email than OP's text.
Could have been.
Yeah.
Could have been. That she has written and rewritten responses, but nothing has been sent back to him. That she's considering going to counseling. I recognize that the ball is in her court since I haven't seen or had any contact with her since early summer, and it's been a relief for me. I haven't missed her and her mind games. I don't want her back in my life. I dread her coming back as I'm unable to make all of those accommodations like I used to. It is gone. There's an edit. I'm seeing that she is a covert. And this article sums up a lot of what's occurred in our 20-year relationship. Update. She responded.
Ooh.
Dear blank and blank, this is long overdue, and I do sincerely apologize for that. What a long, dark, difficult, and seemingly slow journey these last months have been. I have never experienced anything like it, and I'm still processing what the Lord has been showing me, teaching me, and reminding me. If you are interested at some point in learning what it has been like, and continues to be like, I'll share some of what He has been doing. Mostly, now I'm excited to finally see a light at the end of the tunnel and to not be so paralyzed. One very important reminder is that our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against the powers, principalities, and rulers of the darkness. Ephesians 6:12.
Oh, girl.
Whose main goal is to deceive, harm, and destroy it.
Oh, girl, what?
But, the Holy Spirit has given me such encouraging and hopeful images of us all standing together, arm in arm, facing the attacks.
She's like, our problems are but a pebble in the ocean that is the evil of the devil. Did you think about that?
Have you thought about that? Have you thought at all for 1 second about how evil the devil is? With God's help, we will do mighty things, for he will trample our foes. Psalms 60:12.
Yeah,
Several nights after that was the dream of all 7 of us playing games together. Then last night, it was the dream of giving you a heartfelt apology in person.
dude.
I'm trusting this is a message from the Holy Spirit.
Call this woman Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat because she's having visions.
Thank you for letting me / us know what is going on for you regarding various frustrations. I want you to know I am very sorry for any part I've had in the frustrations and hurt you have felt, including missing or not recognizing clues, recent or past. You are right. It was not my intention that frustration, anger, or hurt would result, just as the goal here was not to hurt. Quote from email. I would love to say that it won't happen again, but I can't promise that. No one can. What I can promise is a humble apology, the desire for your forgiveness and reconciliation, and to move forward together in Christ's love.
Okay.
We would like to get together with you to talk in person, as text and email are really not great for communicating hurt
That's
issues.
true.
With love and new understanding, stepmother-in-law. P.S. My counselor suggested some guidance could be useful and offered to meet with the 4 of us if you're interested.
Okay.
I kind of felt the more that went on, the more bad I felt using the sort of
Yeah, it
mocking
got better.
affectation.
It
Yeah,
got
it did get a
better.
lot better there.
Like, it was a lot of Bible verses, but it felt like just a really religious person, which is a different type of annoyance than, like, annoyed that she's not apologizing. Like, she was apologizing. She was just also being, like, super religious-y.
But we have another update. Let's get into it. First, I will preface with thank you so much for the previous responses. It's been very helpful for me to read through and get feedback from outside views. This has been a support to talk with others because it felt like my husband and I were walking through this alone all these years. My husband wrote a response to my stepmother-in-law where he detailed how we felt it's best to continue communication through email so no interruptions or confusions can occur. He talked about how it's fair for us to know what she will be doing differently in order to respect reasonable boundaries before we meet. He encouraged her by saying it's good she's getting counseling. He mentioned that it appears, based on what she said in the previous email, that she didn't fully understand what we were expressing. He told her to feel free to ask him questions for clarity. He concluded with, let's continue to keep the dialogue going. He sent this message off a couple days before Christmas. He had dropped off their Christmas gifts from both of us to his father. We both recognized we weren't going to see them at this time since we were working through things. And this is the response we received yesterday. Oh boy, I bet the Bible verses are going to be a lot meaner today.
Oh, yeah. They're about to get, like, she's about to triple these Bible verses.
She's going to, I bet you she's, maybe not even the Bible. She's going to, like, drop lines from, like, the Grinch.
I think what she's going to do is she's going to send one of those blackout poems, and she's just going to take a picture of, like, the pages of the Bible and just, like, write her letter by blacking out the other words. You know?
Oh, yeah. Okay, now I see what
You know
you're
what I'm
saying. At
saying?
first, I was not
So, like,
aware, but yeah.
let there be communication.
Right, where it's like,
Yeah.
Yes. Dear OP's husband and OP, thanks for your response, Christmas wishes, and gifts too. Thanks also for your patience. We have been and continue to be prayerfully considering the text and your emails.
I bet.
We very much desire and look forward to having a harmonious relationship, just as you do. We continue to seek God's counsel in His Word and the Holy Spirit, along with a wonderful Christian counselor, especially to help me regarding the roots of the deep despair triggered from receiving the text.
Oh, no.
From your emails, OP's husband, and from a lot of thinking back, I am understanding that you, OP, feel hurt or frustrated when I ask too many questions, such as with the glasses. To you, it seems as if I'm interrogating you. I'm sorry you were upset, and I will do my best not to ask too many questions. If in the future there are times you feel I am asking too many questions or have a critical tone, would you please help me by letting me know at the time in a way I would recognize? It seems I have missed indications in the past, so perhaps an agreed upon signal could work. Maybe a light touch or putting your hand over your heart or something else. This will help me recognize the moment and make a correction when I need to step back, say something differently, or perhaps not at all. Smiley face. Regarding the time after the soccer game, we recognized that we overstepped. I was really looking forward to seeing the dog and playing with him and your grandbaby. I asked to come see him and your husband, and you said it wasn't a good idea. I pushed, and your dad was sure it would be fine since we would just be outside for a short bit and then leave. We did not respect your request, and we are very sorry for that. We do want to respect boundaries. We realize that you have other situations that are troublesome and that you may want to discuss. Would it be an option for the four of us to meet somewhere for coffee and tea so that we could talk together and, more importantly, pray together? We love you both very much and want to be a blessing to you. We are praying for you and for us in all of this with much love, stepmother-in-law and father-in-law.
See, that was doing so super well, and then they were like, let's pray together.
I mean, like, I
All
feel like
pray
that's
together.
not necessarily a bad thing. Like,
No, but it
but
is.
it's more like a boundary. It's not like
Yeah.
it's not like we need to pray together. It's like, would you be comfortable in praying?
Yeah.
Because it's
It's
like,
like
you know, people have different beliefs.
More
yada, yada, yada.
importantly,
But
more importantly than us talking about our issues, we need to pray together.
But you know, and in another
doesn't
way,
seem
it's
like
like that's
that's
kind of
okay.
like you can make the judgment call and like, all right, that's something that's
Seems like
if
a
that's like a
female
hard line for you that you like cannot do, that's then that's your decision. But like if it's not like a hard line in the sand that you cannot cross over, it's like maybe doing like a prayer session with them could like really improve like the quality of life of that dynamic and that relationship.
Maybe.
Especially if you're going to be married to this guy, you have kids, like they're going to
Yeah.
be around.
I do
So-
think the problem is though sometimes that when you do have very different I don't know if we know too much about their beliefs, OP's beliefs.
And again, yeah, if it
Yeah.
is a hard line in the sand for you,
Yeah.
that's fine. I'm just
Yeah.
saying if it's not, I would consider it because it could make things
Yeah.
way smoother if you're open to it. So there is an edit here. When I read that email right off the bat, I was concerned with a few red flags. When she said, "To you, it seems as if I am interrogating you." Yes, actually, you are interrogating me. Don't get all gaslighty on me. And when she said, "I'm sorry you were upset," she is again refusing to acknowledge that her actions caused me to be upset. When she talked about me doing a code signal, I'm currently raising my kids. I don't have the desire or energy to parent an adult. Been there, done that with my own parents. She needs to do the work and figure it out. It's not my responsibility. She needs to take ownership over this. I agree with that, but also in a much more practical sense, you have just been given a shut up button.
Yeah.
So it's
This
like,
is true.
take the shut up button for what it is.
Yeah.
You just go, and she stops.
Stops talking.
When she said, "We want to respect your boundaries," then in the next sentence disrespects our boundary by pushing that we meet, even though we have clearly stated in the past that we don't want to and why. Since I've known her, she's always pushed and pushed to get her own way. It was annoying how she threw her husband under the bus. My husband said it was her who crossed the line, not his dad, regarding coming over. Yes, my husband and I are both followers of Jesus. However, I am struggling with her hiding behind what feels like scripture. It's something that I've noticed and has challenged me over the years in my interactions with her. I feel discouraged because I just don't have the energy anymore for this. I do want this to work out, and I hope it does, but I don't know how at this point. I don't know how to convey this in my own words. My biggest challenge with her is that she knows deep down what she's doing. She is very, very smart, cunning, and manipulative. She tries to be one step ahead of us. She takes up space and is invasive. When we got married, she took over our wedding day, and that has set the tone for our whole relationship. And by the way, you can have a whole relationship with full episodes with stories like this on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. Just search OK Storytime. And we are rapidly approaching 53 days worth of story
Rapidly.
time. 53
Watch
24-hour cycles,
Yeah.
which is wild.
It seems like they both have the same religion, but she is trying to play this weird moral high ground of like,
Right.
I'm the better Christian. That's what it feels like.
Right. It's like,
Which is maybe not what
it-
she's, doing or intending to do, but it is what it's coming across. and
I'm
maybe
sure
that's
she's
why-
intending to do it.
Yeah.
She's trying to probably keep it. She's probably thinking it's more low key than it
then
actually is.
which
But
is
it
very
definitely
nice.
feels like she's weaponizing that.
Yeah, it's like, oh,
And
well, you
especially-
wouldn't want to make God mad. Like we need to
Right.
be holy.
Let's finish this story. Over the years, I thought I was being overly sensitive about these incidents that would come up, but as time went on, I recognized the patterns and then tried to brace myself for it. Now it gets under my skin, actually makes my skin crawl, because when you have been scrutinized and raked over by a brilliant and self-serving brain for over 20 years, it makes one feel the biggest kind of ick. I feel violated. Thanks again for the feedback. I appreciate all the insight. So that is
The end.
the end of that story.
Interesting.
I like that we're keeping for a boundary there where it's like, okay, so we're doing the email thing. She keeps being like, let's meet up for coffee. And you just need to be like, hey, we've still said no to the coffee. And also, I didn't hear you list a single actionable thing that is going to change our dynamic or our behavior here.
Yeah, and you just kind of keep restating that boundary and hope eventually she figures it out.
And then eventually she'll start sending you Bible verses that are like,
And the seventh son of the seventh son was cast down into the fire of the pit.
and it's like,
Yeah, and then
then you'll go, oh, she's mad. She's mad. She mad.
She's not going to change.
my sister mistreated me for years. Now they're forcing us to reconcile.
I force you. I cast reconcile.
I, 46 female, and my sister, 42 female, have always had a complicated relationship. But for the last 8 years, it's been a nightmare, at least for me and for my parents, mom 69, dad 73. By the way, this comes from chapter new 7916, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/Okie Storytime subreddit. So, for context, my mom's family is a large one and very well knit. We are 16 cousins plus spouses and children, aunts, and uncles, about 63 people in total. We've always been there for each other, from going to school together to supporting each other through good times and bad. We celebrate everything together and we grieve together. It's not the usual family dynamic, but that's how it is. My relationship with my sister has never been great. She's always made remarks about my appearance and body shamed me. I didn't handle it well as a teenager, and I resented her a lot for it. Whenever I tried to talk to my parents about anything, she would talk over me, making sure she was the only one heard. She always managed to be the center of attention, and I resented her for it. I know it sounds childish on my part, but I couldn't stand her entitled behavior. And the fact that my parents never corrected her made it worse. Here's an example that keeps running through my mind. It may not be the best, but it gives you an idea of what I mean. When I got married 20 years ago, I had a small ceremony with just our immediate families and a few friends. 125 people in total. Small for our family. My sister was 22 at the time and insisted on giving me a present, which seemed sweet. However, I only asked her for the one thing, not to give me anything cross-stitched, as I don't like it. Guess what my gift from her was? If you guessed a cross-stitched item, you're right. She made a huge show of giving me a framed cross-stitch piece in front of everyone. I was livid, but I didn't want it to ruin my day. I thanked her, though not in the best way, and moved on. Before leaving, my mom told me I had been very ungrateful for the beautiful, hard-working present my lovely sister had made for me. I never apologized to either of them. Sometime later, my sister met her then boyfriend and started behaving as if everyone was against her because she was spending so much time at his house. Our parents didn't like it much. One evening, she called us crying, saying she had a fight with our parents about her absences and threatened to run away. We told her to wait and that we would come get her, but suddenly everything was fine and we didn't need to come anymore. Turns out everything was a lie. Who could have guessed? Time went on, and one day, she and her boyfriend came over to announce they were getting married. Great news, right? Well, that was the beginning of the nightmare. As we were discussing the wedding, she said, "You know, when I have my own children, you'll realize that mine will outshine yours. They will take first place as the most significant children."
That's toxic.
I was livid. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Thanks to my SO, I managed to keep my composure. How, I still don't know. Then came the wedding planning. As I mentioned, my family celebrates everything together, but not this time. She was adamant about not inviting any family members. Here were her reasons. First, she claimed she didn't have the money. My mom and I told her that wasn't a problem. Our parents would pay for the entire family to attend. Then it wasn't about money anymore. She said she was thinking of me because our female cousins, who she considers stunning, would overshadow me, especially since I had gained weight after 2 pregnancies. That's messed up of her to say. When that didn't work, she claimed she knew I didn't like one of our cousins and was sparing me from dealing with them. This was completely untrue. She just didn't want to invite the whole family. By this time, my mom was begging me to keep quiet and tried to convince my sister that inviting the family was important to avoid causing a rift. I did everything I could to persuade her, but she didn't care. Months later, she invited me to go wedding dress shopping. When I arrived, she was alone. She hadn't even told our mother to come. I was already at my wit's end. She had already chosen her dress, and as the sales lady was fitting it, she asked about a veil. My wonderful sister then said, "I'm going to wear that one," pointing at me.
What?
"Were you wearing a veil?"
What? Wait, what?
I was stunned. I told her no. She didn't take it well, but the sales lady saved me by saying that if my wedding dress wasn't the same shade of white, it wouldn't match. Okay, yeah. So
So
he's
she
also
was
trying
wearing
on,
a wedding dress as
I
well.
think they're both trying on wedding dresses.
Skip that part.
Yeah, I didn't.
I just thought, pointed at you and was like, "You
I
will be
want
the
that
veil."
one. Yeah.
No, not me. Like they just take you into the back into the veil folding machine and they just process you into a wedding
So
veil.
terrifying. Then my sister demanded that I give her my godmother's medal because she wanted to wear it for the wedding. I couldn't take it anymore. I shouted that there was no way in heck she was taking it. It was the only thing I had left from my godmother, who had passed away just months after my wedding. I couldn't believe she wanted to include the passed away in her wedding, but not the living. I was exhausted and devastated. I called my mom, explained everything, and told her where we were. Wait, you've already had your wedding, it seems.
Why were you
Why
wearing
were
your
you
dress
wearing
at
a
the dress fitting? Did she tell you to do that?
What? She didn't care. The amazing shop assistant managed to get her mom to come later that afternoon to see the dress. But for me, everything was tainted with grief. Cried the whole afternoon when I got home. As the wedding approached, my sister decided that our grandmother, who was in a wheelchair and not well, had to be there. She told our aunt, who lived with Granny, that Granny should come, but without inviting the rest of the family. My aunt, who is sharp as a knife, wasn't having it. She told my sister, "If you want Granny there, you'll have her. But where my siblings and nephews and nieces aren't welcome, I'm not going, so it's up to you." This, of course, enraged my sister. Somehow, everything was suddenly my fault. Family members started calling me to berate me for my sister not inviting them. Apparently, it was my job to fix the situation, as if I had any say in it. I cried myself to sleep every night. The stress drove me into depression. The wedding day arrived. I had an excruciating backache from the stress and was on medication. I only managed to attend the ceremony at the town hall. When my mom arrived with Granny, we realized there was no accessible entrance. My SO and other guests had to carry Granny's wheelchair up a long flight of stairs. On the bride's side, only my parents, Granny, me, my SO, and my 2 kids sat. Meanwhile, the groom's side was packed, around 120 guests. It was the saddest wedding I've ever attended. My mom and I cried through the entire event.
What? If that's the disparity, don't separate the wedding parties.
Yeah.
What are you doing? If one party has 8 people, the other has 120,
Just combine
make them all sit together.
Why would you do that?
That's crazy. That's one of the craziest things I've ever heard.
After the ceremony, my SO realized there must be a disabled entrance. He contacted the police, who were authorized to open it so Granny could leave safely without risk of falling. The restaurant was another nightmare. Stairs everywhere, strangers helping us carry Granny in, and no accessible bathroom. By the end of the meal, Granny was exhausted, and I couldn't take it anymore. We decided to leave before the party began. And that's how my sister's wedding became one of the most painful experiences of my life. Running forward in time, about a year after our Granny was getting very ill, and my awesome sis was pregnant, by November, Granny, now 96, was not fighting anymore, and I was at the hospital saying my goodbyes. Out of nowhere, my eldest cousin began to shout at me because of my sister, as if I was the one responsible for getting her there. This is why your sister doesn't want these people to come. Maybe they just freaking...
Is this the cousin that she was like trying to be like, I
Yeah.
know you don't want this person around.
Yeah, maybe this cousin freaking...
But like being
She may
faced with
too.
grief like right in front of your face and like someone passing away, it's like it's gonna stress you out.
Sure,
maybe
but
she's
this also happened at the wedding.
misdirecting anger.
No, but this also happened with the wedding, where everyone was calling OP and like blaming OP for not being invited. So I feel like maybe just this family kind of...
Yeah, maybe they.
I think the sister also, but like seems like also the family.
Hmm.
I told her to call her herself because I wasn't going to deal with her anymore. Her excuse for not being there was that her now husband was quite worried for her. BS. The day our Granny passed away, as she arrived at the funeral parlor, our father tried to hug us both. That being said out loud, "Don't get me close to that so that she doesn't infect me." That was me. As you can imagine, I could barely contain myself, but thanks to one of my mom's friends, I was taken away. Otherwise, maybe today I would have ended up in jail. A month month and a half later, she was due to give birth, and when she got to the hospital, she didn't tell me anything. Neither her husband, nor our parents. But the next morning, my mom called me to berate me because I wasn't there. I live 3 hours away, so it wasn't easy for me to drop everything and leave at that moment. I tried to explain myself, but it didn't mean anything because my duty was to be there and I wasn't. I talked to her, explained my situation, promising that I would be there for her during the weekend. She seemed to be okay with it. But then 2 days later, my SO received a phone call from her husband berating us because we weren't there, and his wife was crying herself to sleep over it. He accused us of awful things that weren't true, and at the end of the shouting match, he told us that from now on, we are not welcome at his house by any means. I had a panic attack, and my blood pressure skyrocketed. I ended up in the hospital because my nose wouldn't stop bleeding. Dang.
What? You can go to the hospital for that?
I mean, it doesn't stop bleeding.
What? I'm Googling that right now. That's insane.
The next days were dreadful. Every time the phone rang, it was some family member berating me because I was the worst sister in the world, too full of pride to swallow it and meet my niece. I cried every day and night for months. At the next family gathering, she made her grand entrance with her baby and put her in my arms so that I could meet her. In her magnanimity, she was the one who cared. I took the baby but couldn't even look at her. I gave her to my SO and ran into the bathroom where I had a panic attack. My godfather's wife saw me run and followed to help me back to my feet. She let me cry myself out, cleaned my face, and repaired my makeup. She was in my corner. She told me that she saw everything I did to try and make things right. That gave me some peace. Somebody had seen that I was struggling. From that day on, everything revolved around her and her baby. It seemed like she was the only woman in the world who had ever had a baby. What do you do?
These people, if they're going to continue to blame you for behavior that doesn't have anything to do with you, it's your sister. Like, I don't know.
I
Stop.
think you cut them out a little bit.
Stop feeling responsible
Yeah.
for it. Stop responding to claims or calls for you to be
Block
responsible
them.
for your sister and bring it up to them. Like, you know, I think it's usually better to like have a discussion or a conversation or a group text with the involved family members about like what you feel is being done wrong and like what
Yeah.
should change. And then if nothing happens, cut them off.
Cut them off. Because if they're all behaving this way, it's just like, you don't need that in your life. You don't need
Yes.
to go to these events where you have a panic attack. If you're
Yeah.
having a panic attack around these people, like every time you see them, there's nothing keeping you there that's good.
Prioritize your own peace.
Then the vid arrived. Since I live far away and due to the restrictions, I couldn't be with my family for over a year. It helped me to heal and to lose almost 60 pounds, so I was healthier than ever before. I was feeling awesome, more calm, more confident, more everything. The first time we saw each other again, I wasn't looking as bad as before. The moment she saw me, she blurted out, "Oh crap, you mother effer. You're so slim, I can't mess with you." That's insane of a thing to say. But I wonder if that's what she was saying, like, don't infect me with, you know?
Like nosebleed.
Oh, no, I was going to say, like, the body shaming stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You know, maybe that was another body shaming comment. Now that she couldn't do that, she tried to mess with me in other ways, like telling me what a bad mother I was because I wasn't forcing my little shy daughter to hug her or making my son call her auntie. He had started calling her by her name. He's smart, so he knew something was off. That effing behavior went on, body shaming me, making comments about my looks, and so on. After that, I decided to have low contact so I could manage my feelings and emotions and control my increasing lack of patience. And somehow I managed until last year. I decided to spend a short school holiday at my parents' house so my now teenage children could be with them. It had been a very long year with a lot of work stress. I told my father that this weekend I didn't want him to call my sister or anyone else. I just wanted it to be the 5 of us. I wanted to spend some time alone with them. That Friday, my son had a high fever, so I spent the night watching him and trying to keep his temperature as low as possible. At around 6 a.m., I finally fell asleep. Not long after, at about 8:30, my father woke me up to tell me that my sister and her children were coming for lunch. When your child has a high fever?
That's the best time.
Didn't she literally just say, like, I don't want you to infect me?
Oh, it's
You
the
will
best
get
time.
infected. It's the best time when the child
Yes.
has 105 fever.
Adds a nice little zest to the meal.
I thought he was just messing with me, but nope. They were coming, and according to him, it was his house, and he could invite whomever he wanted, and he didn't need my permission. I was exhausted and argued back, saying that I could just take my kids and leave if he wasn't going to listen or care. I know I was too much, but I hadn't slept more than 2 hours and wasn't in the mood. But I stayed and tried to be nice. That night was the same as before, taking care of my son and barely sleeping in an easy chair. The next morning, one of my cousins called my mom. Her brother, my uncle, was very ill in the hospital, and they didn't think he was going to survive much longer. We ran to the hospital to be with him. He wasn't doing well, so after the visit, due to my lack of sleep, I went back to my parents' house to be with my kids. Now they were both ill. The next day, I decided to go back home so their doctor could check on them. On Monday, my husband needed urgent surgery. So my father had to come to my house to take care of my children while my mother was at the hospital with her brother. And I was at another hospital with my husband. While my SO was in surgery, my sweet sister called me sobbing and crying, knowing full well that I was alone in a hospital an hour and a half away from anyone, to tell me that my uncle had passed away. She was screaming, so I hung up. Why was she screaming?
How people do weird things.
Well, I'm wondering, is she screaming like out of like
Yeah, I think out of
sadness,
just
or is she
distress. I
screaming
don't think
at-
she's screaming
yeah.
at OP. And if that is the case, what are you doing? Why are you screaming at her? She's got her own stuff in the hospital.
I had a meltdown and a panic attack. I called my mom and she got scared because she thought something had happened to my SO. As I later found out, she told everyone not to call me because my SO was in surgery and I was alone. But my sister knew better. She had a duty to let me know even when she was told not to. The rest of the afternoon was a blur. My SO was okay, but I wasn't. I was devastated. The days that followed were awful and things kept piling up. We lost another pair of grandparents, another uncle, a friend of my husband, then one of my best friend's moms passed away, and then one of her sisters. Wow. It was a horrible year, but it was far from over. My niece's birthday was coming, and 3 days before, I had a very bad reaction to a medicine. I had to be in the hospital for 3 days with lots of digestive problems, but I made it and went to her mom's for the celebration. I was in a horrible physical state, so I could hardly eat anything, and my tummy became inflamed, making me feel even worse.
I see you. I know exactly what that was.
OP, I think this, obviously your family is being really, really awful, but I think at a certain point that you need to prioritize yourself and not go to these things. If you are not feeling well, don't go. You don't deserve to be treated poorly just because they say, like, you know, someone's having a birthday. You don't have to go. If you are sick, don't go. I think a little bit of low contact, maybe no contact with some of these people is needed. This mother effer began to mess with my looks and smirk and laughed and laughed. I told her that this behavior was not funny, that she was body shaming me, and that it was nothing to laugh about. I was fed up and left, exhausted, driving my 2-hour journey back home. So I decided to turn low contact into even less contact. Good. Last November, my father's mom, 95, was hospitalized, very ill, and not expected to live more than the next 24 to 48 hours.
Oh my God.
I packed my things and drove home to be there. The first day we talked, and she seemed genuinely sad and hurt. I told her that she didn't have to worry. I had her back, and she could do whatever she felt was best for her. We didn't have a wonderful relationship with this granny. She thanked me and left for her house. I spent the next 5 days at the hospital taking care of our father's mom. I called my sister every day to check on her and update her on what was going on. I was feeling great. It seemed like Granny's situation had brought us to a place where we could share as sisters and not as enemies. Miraculously, she survived and everything went back to normal. Wow.
Okay. Breaking the trend.
Yeah.
Let's
Especially
go.
the 95-year-old. Like, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
That is crazy.
I called my sister to explain the situation because I had to get back home and needed her to stay in touch with our parents for their needs. She thanked me and then she started crying, saying she was thankful that we managed to get over our sister problems with her wedding. Then she said she had already forgiven me for everything I did. I was driving home and couldn't believe my ears. This mother effer had been effing me around for the last 16 years and she's forgiving me? I told her it would be better if she shut her effing mouth because 16 years later she was still reminding me of how she made my whole life and yet I was the one in the wrong. I told her to hang up and that we would talk later. I had to call one of my cousins to calm me down. I was in the middle of nowhere, driving, crying, and trying not to have an accident. It took me 4 hours to do a 2.5-hour drive. I hated myself. I was so effing a 46-year-old woman crying like a child in the middle of the road, sitting on some random pavement, breathless.
Dang. Okay, well, I will say, part of me is like, yeah, whatever, you just take that. She's like, I'm so glad we can work through the issues. You're like, yeah, sure, whatever, we work through them. I don't care, you're an and 16 years of history is showing me that I don't want anything to do with you anyway, so go ahead and feel like everything's solved. I don't care. But then the other half of me knows that sometimes people say that one sentence to you,
Yeah. Well,
and that's all it takes. Like, they say the right sequence of words, and you go, hold on, I know you didn't just say that, right?
which is what it feels like because it felt like this whole story, OP is like, that's fine. I'm angry, but I'm just going to keep it in. I'm going to keep it in. And then she says those words, and Opie's like, ah! Christmas arrived, and at the present exchange, she gave my SO a bottle of tequila. I thought, what a thoughtful gift. But no, it wasn't. It was a poison dart. At a certain point during lunch, she whispered so that no one else could hear that the tequila was from her wedding, that she had bought it for us, and because we left, she had kept it for 16 years. I couldn't believe what this entitled brat had done and said. 3 weeks ago, it was my father's birthday, now 74. While we were there, my parents told us that to celebrate their 50th anniversary, they had decided the best way was to go on a cruise. Just the 4 of us. Don't go on this cruise.
Do not go on the cruise.
Don't go on a trip where you can't escape. My anxiety rocketed. I told them I would look for dates because I couldn't think of anything better to say than a direct no. A week later, she came by my house unexpectedly, and as we were talking, she asked if I had already looked for dates. I couldn't take it anymore, and I blew up. My verbal diarrhea wasn't very coherent. I was sobbing the whole time and couldn't catch my breath. Oof. Dang, girl. Okay. Again, your family. This is not your fault. You should go to therapy.
Yes. Also, yes.
Big time go to therapy. By the way, you should rush to listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search up OK Storytime.
Yes, do this and things will happen.
Anyway, there's a little bit left to the story.
Okay, let's finish it off.
I explained that it was my fault because through everything, I never told her anything. I didn't want our parents to suffer in any way, but I was exhausted. My mom told me not to worry about the cruise. She said that we needed to have a talk because there were things that needed to be solved, so she would find a date for it. So would I be the a-hole if I don't want to solve anything? Would I be the a-hole if I just want to have nothing to do with her?
So, to your family, yes. In reality, though, nah.
What?
Like, your family's going to be like, you and you're the worst, and you, blah, blah, you. But, like, in reality, you can just be like, nope, I've drawn my line.
I think
this person's not going to change.
Guess what? At the end of the day, it is for you. You don't need to do anything else for these people. So.
The only thing I was going to say is OP is having this conversation with her mom. Her mom said, let's have a conversation. Let's talk about this. I kind of think you should have that conversation. That isn't to say that you need to have any sort of contact with your sister or the rest of your family, but I think you should tell your mom what's going on. I think you could say, hey, this is how I've been treated. I have no desire to have a relationship with my sister. If that's what you wanted to talk about, I'm not here for it. It seems like your mom didn't say, let's have a conversation and sort out your relationship with your sister. She just said, there are things that need to be solved. But that is the end of that story.
Is it for that, though?
My dad's stepkids are obnoxiously loud, so I want to leave without telling anyone.
You hear that?
I, male 28, am a law student. Over the last 4 semesters, I've focused exclusively on university, which has caused me to accumulate a lot of stress. When I told my father 70, holy cow.
Hey, you know,
That's
age is just a number. Better late than never.
When I told my father 70 how stressed I was, he invited me to spend 3 weeks with him and his partner, female 63, at a beach house my family owns on the Atlantic coast. I happily accepted. After all, a couple of weeks at the beach was just what I needed to unwind. By the way, this comes from u/Joseph Gervaises. And if you want to submit your own stories, please go to OK Storytime subreddit. So, a week before the vacation, my dad told me that his partner's daughter, 42 female, and her 2 kids, male 10, male 8, would be joining us for Christmas. My first reaction was to tell him that I was sorry, but the last thing I needed at the moment was 2 young kids driving me crazy. However, he convinced me to come anyways, assuring me that the kids were well behaved. The first week, when it was just my dad, his partner, and me, was fantastic. We spent our time fishing at the creek, hiking in the woods, and I relaxed by listening to the birds sing. But everything changed at Christmas. The well-behaved kids can't go half a second without screaming at each other. Every time they eat or use the bathroom, they leave everything an absolute mess. Worst of all, their mom keeps them glued to screens all day to keep them from bothering her, which means I have to put up with their loud, crappy music and constant free fire sound effects blaring at full volume. How else is she gonna teach? How else is she gonna parent? You know, just let the screen do it.
That's not. Oh yeah. Okay.
Dude, the second I have a kid, 3 things are going to happen.
Oh no.
Number 1, all they're going to be able to watch movie-wise is Jackie Chan movies, specifically in his South Korea era. Number 2, all they're going to play is Baba Is You. And everything is going to be in a different language than English.
Okay.
All right. Yesterday, when it was just my dad and me, I told him that the situation was unbearable and that I was seriously considering catching the bus back home. He told me he understood, but I should explain myself to his partner and her daughter so they wouldn't feel bad. I don't know about that.
I don't like this at all. These are, I would say something and be like, hey, that's not the right thing. No, you're not doing this right.
I'd just be like, hey, after Christmas, stay until after Christmas. Be like, hey, actually, I'm going to go see some other family. Bye.
Get your gifts first. And then you're like, yeah, you know what? I'll take my gifts. Thanks.
Yeah, you don't need to explain to them. This is where we disagree in my view. I don't owe either of them an explanation. So would I be the a-hole if I left without saying anything? Update. Yeah, no, you're not the a-hole because, like, come on, just make up an excuse and leave. Don't be like, I can't be here around your loud kids.
I don't like telling parents how to, raise their kids.
Oh, I love it.
But like that's like one of my things of like, hey, maybe I'll give you like this is how I would raise my kids.
Yeah.
But if this is how your kids are, you'd be like,
no, I love it.
I make a suggestion.
I tell my aunt every time her son does something wrong, I'm like, hey, you got to make sure he doesn't do that. Every time, every second I can, I'm like, hey, you can't let him do that. Hey, he just ate another dessert. You shouldn't let him do that. He'll get big.
And guess what they say? You can't tell me how to raise my kids. They're my kids.
I actually don't. I don't tell them what to do. I just stay out of it because,
yeah. I think what Opie's trying to do is
leave peacefully. I think you can. That's easy to do.
Make a lame excuse. I'm not feeling well.
All right. Update. My dad, his partner, and the kids went fishing at the stream. I decided to stay at the house to enjoy a moment of peace. Later, my dad invited me to return to the stream at night, just the 2 of us, to do some flashlight fishing. He's 70, dude. That is... Well, my grandpa's almost 70. He's in good health. Okay. I agreed. I saw it as an ideal opportunity for some father-son time together. While we were fishing, he told me that his partner and her daughter were worried because they noticed my discomfort. He said I should make an emotional effort that kids are kids. I responded that the kids are kids thing is just a BS excuse for parenting. Yeah, coming from a 70-year-old, like this guy should be like old-timey. Yeah, back in my day, we played with sticks and rocks.
Now we're out of sticks.
Yeah. We used to throw rocks at chickens.
We only got rocks.
Yeah.
It could be at that age of just like, I don't give a single damn.
Yeah, he's probably at that horny age of like, I don't give a single damn. I just want to hook up with my 63-year-old partner in my Atlantic coastal house.
Loud? What's loud?
Yeah, I don't know. I like this dude. For example, when my sister and I vacationed at the beach house in the early 2000s, we were strictly forbidden from using electronic devices during the day. Even at night, we weren't allowed to turn the volume up above 25% as do not disturb the neighbors. Okay. He was understanding and admitted that it's easier for him not to be bothered by loud noises because all he has to do is unplug himself.
That's what I'm saying. Oh,
deactivating his hearing
aids. I told you. I told you.
I thought it was the other thing.
I'm telling you, he's 7 years old. My man is just like, all right, I don't need to listen to anything.
In short, I'm realizing my dad is making a big effort to make this vacation work for everyone. So I'm going to take the advice of someone who commented on my first post and choose to be an adult by trying to reach a compromise. Tonight, we're all having a conversation and it's very likely things will get awkward. Wish me luck. Update 2 to the awkward. I'm writing this from the bus on my way home. Okay, things got really awkward. So you can probably guess the outcome of my decision to act like an adult and try to compromise wasn't great. The conversation I was supposed to have with my family didn't even happen because 2 things went down and made everything escalate quickly. First, I called my grandfather to wish him a happy new year. But when I was talking to him, I noticed he didn't remember one of my cousin's names. That made me realize his Alzheimer's is progressively growing faster than I thought, and I want to spend as much time with him as possible before he loses all his cognition. Okay, so this gets you out of spending more time with them.
I guess, but
I would get on the fastest bus back to grandpa.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good reasoning.
Also, how old is your grandfather? If your dad's 70, how old is this guy? At the end of the day, the family beach house will always be there, and I'll have plenty of chances to spend summers there without any bratty kids around. And speaking of bratty kids, the other thing that happened is while I was comfortably napping, they started fighting over the TV remote. I tried ignoring them, but the fight turned physical and they started throwing things. Before I knew it, a kid's speaker landed on my right leg just a few inches away from my balls. This combined with the stress of university and the sadness about my grandfather's health made me snap. Right then I got up, I didn't say a word, and just started packing my stuff to leave ASAP. Once I was done, I apologized to my dad, told him the vacation wasn't working for me, and headed to the bus station. Anyway, to whoever's reading this, I appreciate you and wish you a prosperous 2025.
Thank you.
So, he just got up and left?
Okay.
Is that okay?
That's not okay. I feel like I side with OP on some things. I don't side with OP on other things. OP, I get it, is going through a stressful time in his life.
And
but
he just wants to chill out, dude.
this is the one thing. Vacation is supposed to be vacation and no more stress and anxiety. That's what your vacation is for.
Yeah.
But the fact that this was your vacation and you decided, okay, I'll do this with my family kind of thing.
Yeah.
You kind of knew what you signed up for in a way.
Update 3. This is going to be the longest update because it keeps needing some context to make sense. I'll try to keep it as brief as possible. I'm from a country that went through some pretty intense things during the second half of the 20th century. In the early 70s, there was a military coup that led to a dictatorship that lasted until the mid 80s. This is what? Why are we getting history? Okay.
Let him be.
During this time, some areas of the country where clashes between government troops and the guerrillas were common were turned into military zones. When the dictatorship ended, most of these areas were demilitarized. In the mid-80s, my dad was a newly graduated engineer and newly married to my mom when one of his friends told him about one of the recently demilitarized areas that had major tourist potential. The land was dirt cheap, and it was likely that the area would develop, making its value shot up in the common decades. My dad, who's always had a good sense for business, saw it as a long-term investment and bought a 560 square meter, around 6,000 square foot plot from the government for an insanely low price. In the following years, my parents started building a vacation home on that place. To put it mildly, was pretty under development. There was no electricity or running water, so we had to use kerosene lamps for light, bathe in well water. You get the idea. As the years went by, my dad's friend's prediction came true. The area became super popular with city folk looking to get away, and the government started investing in infrastructure. The value of the house went up. Things were going great for my family until everything went downhill in the 2000s. First, there was a major economic crisis, so the company my dad worked for was sold to foreign investors, and he got laid off. And the worst part, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. We can say breast.
I was gonna say, you can say breast cancer.
Okay, breast cancer. So my dad was left with 2 young kids, no job, and his wife battling a horrible illness. With the severance pay, my dad started a keychain manufacturing business, which my mom also helped with when she was able to. The business did pretty well, and between that and the income from renting out the vacation house during the tourist seasons, they managed to make ends meet. But just when it seemed like things were starting to look up, everything went south again. My mom's cancer spread to her brain. From then on, her health steadily declined, and she passed away in 2007 at just 42 years old. Dang. Ugh.
Okay.
I'm not going to get into what happened in the years after that because it's not important for the story. I'll just say that going through my teenage years without my mom was tough, and it marked me in many ways I'm still dealing with. Also, according to the inheritance laws in my country, the vacation house was divided equally among my dad, my sister, and me, so we each got a third. As time passed, the town kept developing faster and faster. Also, my sister and I entered the workforce, and together we invested money into fixing up the house to rent it out for a better price. The house, which didn't even have water or electricity at first, is now one of the most comfortable and best equipped homes in the area. A few years ago, ago, my dad, my sister, and I made an agreement. Since we all own the house equally and the tourist season in that area lasts 3 months, December to February, each of us gets 1 month to do whatever we want with it. Use it for our vacation to rent or to rent it out to tourists for extra income. This arrangement has been working perfectly so far. My dad takes January, and that's how I mentioned in my earlier post happened. I was stressed out with my university. My dad invited me to spend a few weeks in the vacation house. The bratty kids made everything miserable, and I apologized for my dad and left early. Right now, I'm a little short on cash, and February is my amount to have the house, so I decided to rent it out for some extra income. Well, 2 days ago, the mom of the bratty kids texted me saying she was going to stay at the house for a few days in February. My month.
Oh, no, that doesn't work like that. You don't get that. I'm sorry. Is it your third? It's my third.
It's not even her third. It's OP's dad's partner's daughter. You feel me?
I'm sorry. Again,
what?
You don't get that. That's not for you.
Well, I told her the price would be $55 per night. Okay, all right. A few minutes later, she called and told me she thought I was doing her a favor because we're a family. I told her that actually I was doing her a favor since renting a house with amenities during peak season usually costs at least $65 a night.
Oh, wow. You gave me the family discount, $10 cheaper. Amazing.
She hung up on me without saying a word, and now here I am, wondering what I'll have to do to get her to leave the house free for the tourists I've already booked for the first few days of February. I really hope it doesn't get to the point where I have to call the cops. Wish me luck. We have 2 more updates. Oh, he's probably going to have to call the cops.
That's going to make things a lot stickier.
Ugh.
I don't think so.
You don't think
He
so?
said maybe he's going to talk to his dad.
I think so too. But he's 70. That woman could probably do whatever she wants to him. Old man, can't tell me what to do. You don't think so?
I think the old man has some powers still.
I doubt it. I don't think so.
We'll see. I think he's going to talk.
Update 4. This is going to be the last update I make about this because I don't think there's anything else to add. The thought of what might have happened if I couldn't get to these people to leave peacefully had been taking up way too much space in my head over the past week. After all, my sister and I had worked hard to build up a reputation as honest property owners among tourists, and I didn't want all of that to go to waste. In one of my earlier posts, someone commented calling me an a-hole lawyer, to which I replied that I've been part of a program for years where other lawyers and advanced law students provide free legal advice to residents of underprivileged neighborhoods and those who can't afford a private attorney. Well, last week I remembered a case from a few years ago where my team and I held a single mom gain ownership of a house she and her daughter were living in. Turns out that single mom is the niece of the police chief in the same town where my family's vacation house is. Small country vibes where everyone knows everyone. Interesting. So he has a little in.
Everybody knows everyone. So good on OP has connections.
OP has some connections.
So you might be right here.
When the chief found out that I was the only one who led the team that helped his niece, he reached out to say how grateful he was that he owed me a favor. First thing Monday morning, I called him and explained my whole situation with the mom and her bratty kids. He told me not to worry and that he'd take care of it. By the way, we'll take care of you. If you want to hear more stories like this, just go to your favorite podcast platform and search up OK Storytime. We're right there.
Right there. I see you. You see me? I see you.
Do you think she gets arrested?
I don't think she's gonna get arrested.
What?
Because I think she should be escorted off. Like, hey,
yeah,
you're not allowed here. I don't think there's gonna be any fight from her and the kids, because I would be scared if a cop did that. I'd be like, all right, whatever you say, officer.
Yeah.
So, and then it's gonna lead to what happened. So
yeah, true.
Which may cause a lot of tension, but who cares?
A few hours later, I got a WhatsApp from the mom saying she'd be out the next day, and she actually followed through. Apparently, a couple of community officers, unarmed police officials who handle nonviolent issues, showed up at the town's house and told the mom they'd be getting a lot of reports about illegal home occupants in the area. They asked her if she'd seen anything sus, and of course she said no. Then one of them handed her a business card. That was all it took for her to get the hint that the authorities weren't going to put up with squatters. So she packed her bags and left on the first bus out the next morning.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.
That was pretty nice.
I feel like communication was not very communicated well here. Yeah, unfortunately.
Not at all.
But I mean, if that's how OP works, his magic, and that's how he wants to do things, and I guess that's how it is.
It just shocks me that she felt like she deserved this and that she was.
Oh yeah,
Any-
very entitled and
I'm
like, who are you?
supposed to have this.
Do it for the kids. Do it for the kids.
Yeah,
That's the end of that story.
we're done here. But if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you.
And see you tomorrow.